Hi, it's Splinterverse. Welcome to another episode of D&D New Releases, where we offer first impressions of new third-party products for Dungeons & Dragons. We cover up to 20 titles from Dungeon Masters Guild and up to 20 more from DriveThruRPG each week. The titles are presented in alphabetical order by site, and all of them are linked in the video description. Purchasing the books using those links helps the channel, but you can also support us by purchasing one of our best-selling books. We've got lineages suitable for any setting, as well as optional lineage rules in our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages. With our Potions Unlocked book, we have over 100 pages of material to take your potions to the next level in your game. Our Feywild Companion offers 150 pages of Feywild fun for players and DMs. Also, our book Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets contains over 50 pages of dragon-themed player options, including a subclass for each class, and much more. Please support the channel by purchasing our books using the links in the video description. I have a special programming announcement before we get started this week. This year, Splinterverse Media has decided to enhance the free content provided to you, our viewers. So, starting on Monday, January 31st, 2022, on all of our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you will be able to find some additional free content, and we hope you're following us in all those locations. Starting with on Mondays, we have something called Money Saving Mondays, where we're going to offer you exclusive discounts to third-party D&D books. And those may only be available for a limited time, so you want to make sure you're following us so you can find out where and when to get those books. And we're going to preview our first one at the very end of this episode, so make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end to see the first book that's going to get one of our exclusive discounts. On Tuesdays, we're going to have something called Trinket Tuesdays with free trinkets that you can use in your fantasy games, whether you want to use them as items for your starting character or something found when you loot an NPC or a villain. Have at it, because these are going to be free to use with a new one every single Tuesday. And if you like the ones in our books, you're going to love these. And then on Wednesday, we have Wondrous Wednesdays, where we're going to bring you D6 tables, plot hooks, and other fun D&D free content that we can find and create for you, all on our channels on Wednesdays. Then on Thursdays, we want to hear from you. We want to find out what your thoughts are on our questions and polls. We've got all sorts of interesting questions lined up to ask you. We want to hear all about what you think about Dungeons and Dragons. And then finally, on Friday, we're going to continue what we've been doing, which is our third-party D&D book video on YouTube that you're watching now, where you can find out about all those new releases. And we'll continue to preview some of these things that are going to come from our weekly schedule in that show as well. So you want to stay tuned and make sure you're subscribed there. We hope you enjoy all the new stuff we're going to be bringing you. It's one way we want to thank you for all the support you gave us in 2021. And we've got a lot of big things planned for 2022. So make sure you're following on all those channels, and we'll see you there. This week's episode features titles released between January 20th and the 26th of 2022. We've got lots of 5th edition content, as well as some OSR and Mörk Borg this week, including adventures, subclasses, spells, and items. So make sure you stay tuned all the way to the end so you don't miss a thing. Plus, we're going to tease that first exclusive discount from our Twitter and other social media channels, so you don't want to miss that. First up, we have 20 Belt Pouches, a collection of fantasy belt pouches and their contents by Dave Woodrum and Fishwife Games. It's $1.99, 7 pages. It is system agnostic, so it can be used for Pathfinder, OSR, Mörk Borg, 5th edition, wherever you want to use it. And it says here, so your ragtag group of adventurers have just finished off a group of scoundrels that stand between them and a lair's worth of fortune. As expected, the thief and a couple of others declare that they are going to loot the fallen to see what they might be carrying. And of course, each of those foes were carrying a belt pouch. Ah yes, the typically boring generic belt pouch. But does such small staple treasure and the pouch itself always have to be boring? Of course not. This product features 20 different belt pouches and what you will find in them. The pouches are detailed as far as overall appearance, materials used to make them, possible minor enchantments, and alchemical treatments placed on the pouch. And then there's fancy adornments that the pouch may have. They have listed value, which can vary due to the materials or level of craftsmanship. All kinds of details related to these pouches. And it's fully ready to be used in your game. So they've got a few samples here in the catalog page. So you've got a light brown pig leather with heavy bronze flat buckle. The buckle is octagon in shape and is adorned with numerous small settings of smoky quartz. It's got a value of 40 gold. Inside, there are 12 copper coins, 10 silver coins, 20 gold coins. And then gems, you've got a spherical shaped garnet worth 100 gold. Single gold hoop earring encrusted with tiny blue topaz settings, valued at 125 gold. And a small piece of carved wood resembling the shape of an angry man's face. So that's quite detailed, right? Normally it just says a pouch. Oh, well, when you sell it, it's worth this much, right? This is very detailed, so if you like details or you feel like you want to mix it up, nothing says you have to use one of these special pouches in every loot opportunity. Maybe you just sprinkle one in here, one in there, just to kind of liven it up a little bit, because there's 20 different ones in this book. And looking inside, you get to see 2 of those 7 pages, and they've got a little bit of artwork here for you. And you can see they've got each pouch is numbered, and it's got a lot of information. I like this one. It says black serpent hide over cow leather with silver studs. I mean, very distinct look to it. And one of the other items in it is a vial containing antitoxin serum. So that could even be like a story generator, right? Maybe, why did they have this antitoxin serum? Are there things that we need to worry about that have toxins in the area? You know, I really like this. Just jeweler's loop with a lightly scratched up lens is another item in one of these. Just some fun stuff in here. I think these things can be so boring, and I love when people make books that make the boring part not so boring anymore. So if you want to mix it up and make your belt pouches special, then you need to check out 20 belt pouches in the video description links. Give it a click. Next, we've got 5e RPG, Species of the Multiverse. So, this week, Wizards of the Coast released their gift set that included a brand new book called Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. So you're going to see several titles this week tying into that multiverse theme. And the focus of that book is player races and monsters kind of revisited, as well as some new monsters. So this book looks like it's going to tie in nicely because it's talking about species of the multiverse, basically races. There's controversy over using that word. So some people call it species, some call it cultures, ancestries. There's a number of different terms being used in the third-party realm, but I like to at least tie it back and let you know that what we're talking about is races if you look at the player handbook. So it says, from Oz to Zikaria and everything in between. This supplement contains 46 species and 98 subspecies drawn from across the multiverse, ranging from Atlantis to ancient Greece, from the time of the Vikings to the fairyland of Oz, from the fantasy world of Zikaria campaigns to the gothic realms of the Uberwald. And it's $14.95. It's on sale. It's normally, it looks like $19.99. And it's 5th edition, of course. And it's 192 pages by Michael Truska. And it says every core species is covered, including 3 dragonborn, 5 dwarf, 7 elf, 5 gnome, 1 half elf, 3 half orc, 9 halfling, 8 human, and 1 tiefling subspecies. So they're really going to flesh out, give you some additional subspecies, which is nice. It says more exotic species are covered with accompanying subspecies, including monstrous catfolk, centaurs, fairies, gorgons, minotaurs, nymphs, ogres, and pains. There's also a dozen of new species, including Amazons, Anathorites, all the way down to, looks like, Wogglebugs. So all kinds of fun sounding races in here. And here's 6 of the pages, of the 192 pages that you can look at. I like this starting page with that sort of old school scientific globe. And then you've got your table of contents, so it lists all the new races. And then you get your intro, adding a species, and then it talks about time travel, ancient Greece, all of these settings. And Michael Truska has books for all these settings. Some of these are reprints from other books, and some of them are brand new. So you can, if you find a race in here that you like, you can go explore one of those other books and really enjoy those settings. We've covered a few. I know we covered the Oz one, and a few of the other books from Michael on here before. So you can also go back and check out some past episodes to learn more. But here's a summary table. So we'll just look at a few of these so you can see some of these are coming from different books. But I think it's, it's just a lot of value in one book to have all of these species, so many. I mean, they have different ability modifiers. So the Secrops has +1 int, Wiz, and Charisma. And then it features dark vision, natural armor, natural weapons, poison, immunity, and serpent tail abilities, or traits, I should say. And then there's a link to the actual book, so you can find out more about it or purchase it, I guess. I don't know if this goes to the store or not. In these previews, the links are never clickable, so you can't really investigate them too well, but I think that's probably a link to the store page, or maybe there's a page in the book that summarizes about that book or something. But yeah, lots of fun. You can see here they're going through all the different little settings that Michael has produced over the years here, and then you've got information on time travel and adding the species. So I just think so many species in here for 192 pages for $14.95 while it's on sale. I think that's a really great price, and so I think you need to go to the links in the video description and look for 5e RPG and give it a click. Next, we've got animated battle maps, The Tower, Ice, and Lava, and it's by the Mad Mapper. It's 1993, and of course, it's a map, so it's system neutral. It says the Tower Ice, managing the slick icy ground, an eerie blue light dances on top of the hill, guiding you to a massive tower. It thrones on top of a rock island in the middle of a deep frozen lake. Only a small bridge studded with icy stones leads to the small ancient archway, the entrance to the mythical island. Following the path through the spiked rock face, you approach the tower, completely immersed in flickering blue light radiating from a magical source on its top platform. And then they have the same kind of flavorful description for the lava one, which I'll let you read on your own. But what's really cool about this is you get this animated map, which has a gridless version in 4K, HD, and 720p. And then they've also got variations so that if you don't want to have weather, like there's going to be the lava and the ice version, right? But if you don't want the weather, there's one without that. Then there's a static version, which is the image in JPEG format. And then you've got introductory scenery videos with music to kind of set the scene. And then there's a money shot of the battle map point of view in ultra high definition JPEG format, and then flavor text you can read to your players, and adventure hooks. And I'm going to play a little bit of this video. I don't want to zoom in because it will consider it copyright stealing or whatever. So we're gonna just leave it in this small view, but you should be able to see a little bit. I can maybe zoom in a little. Let's see. But you can see this is kind of the introductory video that you would get to see, kind of setting the stage, and then this is the map itself. So all kinds of fun stuff. I think this is really cool. And here's the lava introduction. So yeah, you get to kind of set the scene in more of a three-dimensional format. And then you've got here, this is what the map looks like. It's animated normally, but you do have the still versions as well. But I just think it looks really cool, and I love that there's so many variations in here. That's really cool of the Mad Mapper to do that, because that gives you lots of possibilities for your favorite VTT, or even maybe printing the map. So I like that, and I think you should check it out under Animated Battle Maps in the links below. Give it a click. Next we have Beaches, Flotsam, Salvage, and Wreckage, 6 maps, 100 random beach items, and 20 encounters. A medieval maritime fantasy supplement from Rowan Studio, $2.50 for 16 pages, and it's really system agnostic, so you can use it with any of the Dungeons & Dragons systems. And it says Beach theme landscape layout includes 4 bird's eye view and 2 top down battle maps, 100 random beachcombing items, 20 random encounters, and it works for VTT, of course. So let's take a look inside. And I just really love Rowan Studios' art style. It is just beautiful. I think this is stunning. It reminds me of one of my favorite comic book artists. So yeah, I mean, look at this. This is kind of more of a isometric view, I guess you'd call it, of the location. And then here's kind of an intro. You don't always get intro, but Randy Massow is giving you that here with with these maps, which I think is great. And then you've got 6 illustrated maps, talks about how it can be used in any setting. And then here you're seeing a top-down view of this little boat on shore. So maybe the party was on a ship and they have to take a little dinghy to get to the shore, and then they park the dinghy here, and then they go off on to deal with something here. And maybe there's an encounter that happens right here on the shore. And here's another kind of isometric view of it. It says anything can wash up on a beach, from simple sea glass and buoys to treasure chests and bodies. The ocean spits out all sorts of wonders originating from anywhere in the world: junk, heirlooms, garbage, and relics, all swept up in currents, tides, storms, and time. And then beachcombing, here's a whole section on the various things that you would find maybe just laying there on the beach. So one example is 2 horse carcasses tied together with leather lashings and half eaten by crabs and gulls. And then you've got a lantern with a rusty housing, but glass is still intact. So just a number of things. And there's 2 full pages giving you 3 pages giving you 100 of those beachcombing items. Very cool. And then here, another beautiful isometric view. And then some encounters, including fishers, black bear, sandflies, just to name a few, but they've got 20 of those. So 3 pages of that. And then here is another beautiful top-down view. And you can see here another isometric with some grid on it. So just lots of beautiful options to have sort of a shore encounter. And I'm just always impressed with the artwork from Rowan Studios. So check it out under beaches in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Boricubos, The Lost Isles from Legendary Games. This particular title has both digital and print on demand options. So you get the PDF for $19.99, or you can do the softcover standard color book for $32.99, or you can get a combination for $37.99. So that's a nice little discount if you want to get both together. It's 176 pages. And it says, explore the incredible archipelago of Boricubos, a land rooted in the myths and legends of the Taino and Arawak peoples of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. This amazing campaign setting includes vividly detailed cultures with 7 sensational playable races, from the Anu Bagua flower folk to the volcanic Wolakan, the mercenary Iguaqua parrot folk, the Huracan living storm scions, and more. Plus, you'll find nearly 40 new archetypes and class options for every 5th edition character class, alongside dozens of new spells, weapons, and armor, feats, magic items, and so much more, including the all-new Shaman class, a divine spirit master and cousin to the warlock who binds the spirits of nature and the incarnation of ancestors to wield mystic power, with dozens of spirit bindings and boons to make each shaman unique. It also includes adventure hooks, culture and history, and over a dozen new monsters native to the archipelago, plus 3 introductory adventurers to help your heroes find their place in this island paradise. You can slake your thirst for tropical adventure with Boricubos, where the echoes of murder and the houses of the gods brings war and chaos to the land, sea, and sky below, even as insidious invaders from beyond gather their strength. So very fun description. I like that there's a parrot folk in here. I think that could be a lot of fun. So you get to see 5 of the 176 pages in the full-size preview. So you can see here races. They've got Anabuagua all the way down to Wolakan. So it looks like there's 7 different races. There's also have a section on deities, then classes. this is where they have all the subclasses, and then they've got the shaman class, including their subclasses, and then new spells, new equipment, magic items, monsters, and that some fun different monsters down here, adventures, and they've got 3 of those, and some NPCs and a pronunciation guide. I always appreciate that. I definitely need that. If you watch the show, you know I always botch it. So it's helpful for me to have that. Here's the kind of intro to some of the areas, and I love this picture of this cool little parrot type bird sitting in the tree. So let's look at some of this here, read a little bit for you. It says Boricubos is a different kind of campaign setting. It is steeped in the legends and lore of the fantasy Caribbean, specifically the pre-Columbian Taino and Arawak cultures, though with its own fantasy spin. The details of the islands and their inhabitants are fairly broadly drawn, rather than naming every river, mountain, bay, and forest with chapter upon chapter of ancient history. This book is set up with adventure and at the table play in mind. The focus of the book is on how you can use this setting at the table. There are adventure hooks and conflicts and secrets aplenty in the GM's guide section of the book, but the majority is devoted to exciting new player and GM options to use, including fantastic new playable races with detailed social interconnections across the setting. Dozens of new class archetypes. We've discovered a lot of that through the catalog. Let's read a little bit more. It says there are 7 primary races of people within Boricubos, with each playing an important role in the cycle of life on the island, as well as their roles in the civil war that has recently broken out. The first and most common of these races are a tribe of humans called the Tainum. Before the war, their expansive populace made them the de facto leaders on the island of Boricubos, with many towns being structured around their priests, known as Behiks, as a council that advises the Kakik, chief of each community. Though other races are allowed to be the Bekiks and Kakiks, however, the position is traditionally filled by a Tainum, except in communities deep in the forest and underwater. So lots of details on these different groups. And I just, again, I'm excited that there's a parrot folk in here. I think that's really fun. Parrots are just a fun animal in general to me. You got a cool little map here of the island. So lots of fun stuff. We just showed a beach map. You could use that map with this. If you have a pirate situation, or you want to have Sword Coast stuff going on, and then people get lost at sea and find themselves in a mysterious new Lost Isles. The beauty of this being sort of an archipelago is that you can drop it anywhere. Anywhere that there's an ocean, you can throw this archipelago out there, right? So it really nicely would fit in a lot of locations. And as a DM or a GM, you can just have characters mysteriously end up on a totally different world, right? And not realize that maybe there was some storm at sea and they left the Forgotten Realms and now they're in whatever world has Boricubos, and that could be a really cool story. So don't feel bound by whatever campaign you're in. I mean, that's the beauty of this game, is that you can mix it up. You can write the story. You can have a montage instead of having the characters roll. You can just montage and say there's this magical storm. All of you are just like feeling weird and queasy, and then you pass out, and voila, you wake up and you see these islands you've never seen before, right? So it's your world, as Bob Ross says. All right, so Boricubos, got to check it out. Got to get these parrot folk in your game and get some island action. And it's all under Boricubos, and the link's below, so give it a click. Next, we've got The Cradle of Fire by Paul Legorsky. It says a malevolent and ancient elemental lies imprisoned within a lava-filled obsidian cavern. Explore the hidden passages before his shackles break and havoc is unleashed upon the nearby oasis. Yes, we don't want that. We don't want that unleashed. It's from Heart of Arcana, and it's $2 for 13 pages and 5th edition. And it says, we hope you enjoyed the desert oasis and obsidian carved dungeon from the Heart of Arcana. So let's take a look inside. So you get to see 4 of those 13 pages. Got the overview, background, adventure hooks, NPCs, and then adventure conclusion here at the end, as well as some items, spells, and monsters in the appendices. So we'll read a little bit of the hooks in a minute, but nice, clean, easy to read layout with your prominent NPCs here. I like when they break out the NPCs too. That's helpful. They got a rumor table. Those are always fun, so maybe we'll read a little bit of the rumor table in a minute too. So adventure hooks, this says the alchemist of the oasis requires a group of discreet and capable adventurers. He wishes for them to eliminate the threat behind the sandworm abductions so that he can resume his secret sandworm experiments. Another hook is the PCs are elite members of the Oasis Guard and are tasked by their leader to discover the source of the killings and end the unholy terror currently gripping the people of Raj. And then the last hook is the High Cleric of Wellspring is looking to hire a group of bounty hunters, adventurers, or investigators to uncover the cause of the tragedies and eliminate the responsible party. There's a lot of things going on in this oasis, and the characters are going to be involved in protecting it. And then you've got rumors overheard at the Black Tent. The first one is an abandoned cavern not far from the oasis holds a legendary dagger for anyone brave enough to enter. Second one is an evil wizard is consuming the life force of infant sandworms. So there's just 2 of the 6 that are available here. So I like that. Always love a fun rumor table. Get your mind spinning with ideas. And yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. You've got some desert opportunities here where you can have sandworms and an oasis and trying to help people deal with what's going on. I mean, you could really make this the basis of a desert campaign. And since it's just a small little oasis with a little bit of the surrounding area, you could drop this anywhere that you have a desert. So if you've already got a homebrewed world that has a little desert area, maybe you haven't fleshed it out yet, you could get this in there to get it going. Or you could put it in a well-known campaign. I know there's some deserts in Forgotten Realms. You could drop this in there and other places as well. But first, you need to go to the video description links and click the link labeled Cradle of Fire and check it out. Next, we've got Creature Spirits Pack number 8, which you can see some of the tokens already. And it's from Forgotten Adventures, $4.99. It's, of course, system neutral, so you can use it for any fantasy game, basically. Any game where you can have these cool looking, I mean, look at how cool they are. I love the little blue glow to them. There's so many different spirit things in here. And to me, these could be like undead spirits or summoned versions of these creatures as well, because summoned versions don't have to look like flesh and blood. They can look kind of illusory as well, or these could be illusions. You know, maybe that's why they look this way. So you got a number of uses for this, and it's really cool. It says this one contains, let's see, does it say how many? It says 4 color variants as usual. So you got blue, green, purple, white. So yeah, we're only seeing the blue, but there's all these other ones. And they're in 400 DPI, and that way you can enlarge them pretty easily, which is nice. And they're transparent backgrounds so that you can place them on a map and they'll blend seamlessly in. And again, they're top down, which I always appreciate with tokens, because most maps are top down, and I think it looks really nice that way. So check it out under Forgotten Adventures. Actually, it's under Creature Spirits, sorry. It's Creature Spirits Pack 8 in the links below, and give it a click. Next we have Encounters Volume 5, Wastelands of Hell from Dragon's Horn Tales and Dragon's Horn Studios. And it says throw your players into 10 devilish encounters for characters levels 6 to 10. And what I love about this book is that it's not just for 5th edition, it's also for 3.5, which means, you know, Pathfinder 1 as well. And so you're getting basically 2 to 3 versions of this book all in one, which I think is really awesome. I love when books do that because it gives you some flexibility. Maybe you have a table that plays 3.5e and a table that plays 5e, and this will work for both. So for this $4.99 price, and you get both of those, which is nice. So the description said that there is a devil inside each hero, imp running a workshop in the middle of the wastelands, a giant rib cage of a devil long vanquished, an Irenes waiting for a village to succumb to hellish powers, a snake offering power in exchange for a piece of soul. Dangers await in every corner of Underworld. Will you dare to challenge the servants of Hell in their dominion? This encounter pack contains 10 carefully designed, Hell-themed encounters for both the 5th edition and 3.5 edition of the world's most popular role-playing game, with monster tactics, leads, hooks, and new monsters and items to spice up your game, easy to use and drop into any adventure, to fill up blanks on the map, make a long journey more interesting, or kickstart another adventure. So it lists all the average party levels here, so you can see with these 10 encounters, the first one here, it says Deadly Pursuit, average party level 10, but it goes from 7, 5, 6, 8, 11, 8, all kinds of variations, which is helpful. So depending on where your party's at, you can find one. And then it's got 5 new maps with variants, including gridless and gridded. You've got the canyon map, a giant ribcage map, a wasteland tree map, ruined village map, and a cliffside cave map. 3 brand new monsters with custom token art and 4 new magic items. And so it looks like there's some bundles down here at the bottom that you can also get, which is nice. So you should consider these because it might be cheaper to get the bundles. And what I really like on this particular one is you have the book, but then down below there's the bundle that has the book and then the Foundry version. So if you use Foundry as your VTT, then you can get both of them together for $9.95, which I think is another really good deal, especially since you're getting 3.5 as well as 5th edition. So I really, really like that. And then there's some other bundles that you can consider as well. And let's take a look inside. So you can see 5 of the pages. I'm not sure how many are in it because it doesn't list pages on the side here, but it looks like 37. So that's cool. You've got all these encounters, and it goes through each of their sections. So they've got a possible hook for each one. They've got a social encounter, tactics, combat encounters, leads and trails. So it seems like they might be giving you some options for continuing on from one of these particular adventures. But I like this. And then it's got an appendix for the 5th edition with creatures, vehicles, items, and then the same for 3.5, their own appendix here. And then at the end it says linked encounters, plot overview, part 1, and it shows you how you can link some of these encounters together for a whole campaign, which again, when you're thinking about purchasing an encounter book, right? I would want to purchase a book that's giving me 2 versions of the game and options like linking them together, right? It's just like subclasses that come with extra stuff. I always like to, when I make my purchase, I lean towards the ones that are giving me something extra, because you can't buy every book that's out there. Most of us can't. So you have to be choosy. And so when I see things like this, I think it improves its chance of being purchased by someone like me. And I like that. So zooming in here, we can see there's an introduction. It says, what is Hell? All of the encounters take place in the wasteland layer of Hell named Mephitis, barren land where devils and demons fight for souls. This layer of Hell is described in Appendix D. In your game, you can place the encounters in any wasteland-like layer of the underworld, such as ones inspired by Avernus from Greek mythology. As in lands like that, there are many places still to be discovered. The deity names used in the encounters can be easily swapped for appropriate deity from your world. So yeah, you can tie this into Avernus from Greek mythology, or even Avernus from Wizards of the Coast. So you've got all sorts of fun stuff. Let's look a little bit at this encounter here. So this one is called, it looks Encounter 1, Deadly Pursuit. Okay, it says, in this encounter, adventurers must drive for their life, running from the devil that is in pursuit. This encounter takes place on the Wasteland Canyon map, but you can place it anywhere. When the characters are traveling through one of the canyons in the Wastelands of Hell in a vehicle, a shriek of a devil alerts them that something is happening outside. And here's the flavor text. It says, a shriek of a devil, different than any of you've heard before, fills the canyon. A small dot in the sky grows faster and faster, and a moment later, a falcon-like creature with a halberd comes rushing at your vehicle. So it says the creature is a pursuit devil, Satirix, who decided that hunting the adventurer's vehicle will be a good way to kill its boredom. The devil approaches the vehicle the fastest it can. So, and then it goes into, more about the encounter and checking the DC for driving, and then treasure, and then leads and trails. So again, how to kind of go out of this adventure into something else, presumably. But let's read this one. It says, a target on our back, the fall of pursuit devil is mighty blow to the forces of hell and is sure to bring the attention of more powerful fiends. Will they act now or will they just watch? Is for you to decide, but the ones that dispatch the devil will not forget that the party killed it. So yeah, it's more of a hook for the future. But if you commingle a lot of these to have just sort of a hell campaign, then you can have this happen even after a couple encounters. It doesn't have to be immediately after this adventure, this particular one. But lots of fun stuff. I always like extra planner stuff. It's just more interesting to me, the extra planner stuff, than regular material plane stuff. So anyway, I think you should check it out under Encounters 5, Wastelands of Hell, in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Fort Ogon, a 5th level adventure from Craven's Keep, and it's 16 pages for $4.99, and it says it's designed and optimized for 4 players of 5th level. It says works well set close to a small country village or in a remote valley. It says Fort Evander was established nearly 3 years ago in order to protect the growing city of Borlhaven. Captain Dana Fleetwood and her platoon were stationed by the Empire to occupy and defend the Imperial outpost. All was well until a month ago, when a warring band of hobgoblins ambushed Fort Evander and wiped out all the defenses there. Of the few who escaped came reports of a troll allied to the hobgoblins' leader, Ogon. This troll tore through the soldiers, as did the hobgoblins' warriors who sieged the outpost. There, the goblinoids have remained, no one sure of what their future plans may be. The Empire is now searching for mercenaries to take back the fort and put down the creatures within. The rest of the hobgoblin warband remain behind at their stronghold further north, where there are nearly 200 soldiers strong. So it includes a new creature, a new magic item, 2-level battle map, and a 15-page adventure. So let's take a look inside. So you get to see 4 of the 16 pages, and I always like the layout style of Craven's Keep stuff and their artwork. I think it's got a fun style, and it really always goes together. So if you get multiple Craven's Keep books, they're going to kind of look like they belong together, which I appreciate, from a branding perspective. I think that's really cool. Very clean, easy to read as well. So you've got the 4 pages out of the 16 that you can see here. You can see this cool little map and some of the little characters and the drawings in here. We're getting a lot of the points of interest on the map are getting detailed for us. And then you've got this whole section up here that kind of introduces it. So let's read a little bit of the adventure hook. It says, a member of the Imperial Army has been appointed as the new captain of Fort Evander. Captain Hesta Stoutheart. Stoutheart is a proud female dwarf currently scouting for mercenaries to recapture the fort. The last month of efforts has not been successful, and Hesta wishes to outsource the task in order to minimize any more casualties to her ranks. Characters looking for work in the area can be directed to Hesta by locals, where they can meet her at the guard hall in Borlhaven. When ready, Captain Stoutheart addresses the characters as follows. I hear you are looking for a job. Well, I have quite the task. I can sense you are experienced and may well be the relief I have been holding out for. Nearly a month ago, Fort Evander, the garrison posted just outside the city, failed to an invasion of hobgoblins. How that was allowed to occur under former leadership, I do not know, but I am told it may be due to a troll that travels with said goblinoids. We require you to infiltrate the fort, take out or apprehend their leader, and eject the band from the fort. The Crown can offer a payment of 8,000 GP should you accept. I'm sorry, I dropped the voice too early. I didn't realize the rest was flavor text because it was italics and then it dropped the italics, but that's okay. Anyway, you get the idea. And there's a cool little picture of Hesta here, and it goes through some general features, which I also appreciate, of the fort. So you kind of know that every room is going to have these, or most of the rooms are going to have these. It's kind of annoying when you're looking at points of interest and it just keeps saying the same things in every paragraph. So it's nice that they kind of set all that up there. And then they've got all these little rooms, and we'll read about one of them. We'll read about the armory here. It says this area holds the main stash of arms and equipment for the fort soldiers. You enter a large room. 2 heavy wooden racks hold a series of long swords, long bows, and short swords. A number of barrels are neatly stacked in the chamber's corners. So nice flavorful text. It could have been really boring, have an armory and not have that. So I appreciate that they're including that for you. So just looks all around good. I think you should check it out in those links in the video description under Fort Ogon. Give it a click. Next, we got Glimmer's Run from Glasscutter. It's 80 pages. It says it's system agnostic OSR. It says it's a psychedelic island hex crawl designed as a stopgap adventure to use when your players hop into a ship and sail off toward an unfinished corner of your map. So again, we're seeing this week's episode, multiple nautical things. We've had an archipelago, we've had some shoreline maps, and now we've got this island hex crawl. So an enterprising DM could take all 3 of those things that I just described, combine them together to have a big campaign, and it'd be very unique, because unless you've watched the show, nobody's suggested it, right? So consider that. Consider combining these and creating a fun adventure for your players. It says it's a gonzo treasure trove island at the bottom of the sea with 27 distinct hexes and a short dungeon to explore. Players will find themselves the newly acquired pets of the Salt Mother, who is the sea. In search of a way home, they will encounter ancient truths, unholy horrors, and enough priceless artifacts that their escape will surely not go unnoticed by the god that they are robbing. It says the rim is divided into 4 distinct areas. You've got the rim dunes, the biovesper, the tangle, mother's embrace. Those are very flavorful names. I like those. On top of all that, Glimmer's Rim squeezes in a handful of quirky NPCs, 30 odd foes of alien and uncanny nature, tables for evocative treasure and useful tools, battle maps, and more than one apocalypse clock ticking quickly down to midnight. It's an adventure of transient nature by the very nature of its origins, but nothing about the rim is meant to be forgot once you're done with it. It stays with you, sometimes as a gleaming prize, other times as a missing limb. On the island where the ocean hides her heart, good and ill are found in equal measure. How will you strike your balance? So, sounds fun. And I mean, when I was loading these pages in advance for this video, I was really struck by the artwork in this book. I think it's particularly good, and I just that inspired me. I thought, oh wow, this is going to be a fun one for my audience here. But I'm just scrolling through here. You get to see 10 of the 80 pages, just so you can see the artwork that I'm talking about, and it's just beautiful black and white drawings that I love how they just sort of invade the page. So you can see here how it's just sort of coming right in and crashing into this spread here, and I find that fun, and it's a lot of that. So it really gives you this feeling, and I feel like that goes with the adventure, because from what we read earlier, it sounds like you're going to be kind of swept into this underwater realm and kind of pets of this salt mother, right? So it's you're supposed to feel a little bit overwhelmed, and so I love when the design of a book kind of also gives you that feeling. It just really, I think it's just a little bonus on top of good content. So it talks about the noble court here of the exalted maw, and it's got rumors in the court and all the secrets. And then here's information on the Stillwater Hollow with points of interest and happenings, and all the different things, the cultist dig site, Aether and the Heliophage, Howling Entourage, the Dust Gallery. So this can be used for OSR, but I could see this easily converted. It's not heavy on stats. You could probably use this with 5th edition, if you're experienced or you have patience to prep the stuff. But so let's read a little bit about the rumors in the court here, because I don't like to give away too many spoilers if I can avoid it, because you might be a player watching this that you want to recommend it to your DM, right? So it says a handful of blue-robed humans have been showing up at court recently, offering the dame gifts of what they call rejected flesh. And then, which is nice in a rumor table, it says in parentheses whether this rumor is true or false, and it says this one's true. It says the lemurs have been petitioning the court lately, pleading for help with some vile little bird that's been stealing their ancestral bones. And then the third one says the dame created the rim. All of this is her artifice, and we each serve and stay at her pleasure. So that's just 3 of the 10 that are here. So lots of fun. So let's find another little part that we can read for you. The heliophage, Aether and the heliophage. Let's just read the beginning of that. As the gentle curve of the rim comes toward its northern terminus, the last thread of sunlight dips back below the horizon. Everything here is lit in the restless blue of true twilight. The bayou is quiet. No crickets hum elegies. No heron grown dry and low. Even the wind sits still. Every lilac flower turns its face to watch the sharpest bluff of the point in a silent, cryptic vigil. A light waits, winking there. Yeah, I like that. Very flavorful, moody, get you focused on what's happening in the area. And again, the artwork in here is just so fun, I think. And we're only getting to see 10 pages of the 80, so I can only imagine what's in there. Well, this is more like 20 because this is spread, so we're going to see about 20 of the 80. But still, that means there's a lot more to see in Glimmer's Rim. So check it out in the links below. Give it a click under Glimmer's Rim. Check it out. Next, we've got Murder at Morley's Workshop by Toby Lancaster. It's a one-shot adventure for levels 1 to 3 from Dark Realm Maps, $3.99 for 27 pages. Set in a frontier town nestled on a snowy plain, The Murder at Morley's Workshop is a winter one-shot. Positioned at the edge of the village next to an ancient woodland, Morley's Workshop is the focus of a grisly crime. A man driven by savage hatred murders his cousin. The resulting spilling of blood, combined with the man's malice, calls forth a vicious fey creature from the Crimson Pool. In turn, this twisted magic then beacons a crazed animal from the dark wood beyond. The party of adventurers are called to the location as the town alarm goes up with the sighting of the giant bear at the workshop. It is prowling around the building, and the large workshop door appears to be open. So yeah, there's your intro. And you've got full color map, individual rooms to print out separately as the players encounter them, plot and setting descriptions, detailed room and crime scene descriptions, unique creature stat blocks, scalable elements for levels 1 to 3. And let's take a look inside. So you get to see 6 of those 27 pages, and it's got the stat blocks at the end, which is nice and neatly organized. So some fun artwork showing you what's going on. Oh, I love that little map. How cute. Look at that. Really fun art style, like colored pencil style maybe. I like that. It's like the color isn't like exact. It's not filling in every object 100%, you know. It just looks nice, very different. And I like how everything's labeled. So let's see what we can read here. That won't spoil everything. So let's read a history of Morley's Sleds and Sleighs. Jericho Morley established Morley's Sleds and Sleighs about 20 years ago, a few years before he became a widow. After the death of his wife and child, he became more and more isolated, running the workshop on his own and becoming known simply as the cranky man who lives on the outskirts of the village, which is situated on the border of a dense, ancient forest called the Dark Wood. But over the decades, the village expanded and drew closer to his workshop, with new roads running past the now not so isolated building. Although he considered these roads annoying, Jericho found that business increased and that he needed to employ an apprentice from the village. As it happened, he had a cousin called Edward, who had moved into the vicinity, someone who showed a skill for carpentry, and so he gave him a job. Edward brought enthusiasm and ideas, some of which worried Jericho. However, as demand increased for sleds and sleighs, he had no choice but to embrace those new ways. The region was experiencing increasingly harsh winters, and these were becoming prolonged as rumors seemed to indicate the presence of some destructive magical force in the north. Morley's sleds and sleighs was experiencing a boom time, though. As pressure increased, Edward became increasingly disenchanted with his cousin's unenthusiastic approach. The younger cousin also argued that his older partner showed no desire to expand, and it was no secret in the village that disharmony was brewing between the two. Jericho was also suffering from ill health, which was affecting his mental capacity. He made mistakes but blamed Edward, seeing his younger cousin as a threat rather than a colleague. So he came up with a scheme to cause a fatal, quote-unquote, accident in the workshop that would result in Edward's death. So, interesting setup here. I like this. Really thorough backstory. Very well written as well. Flows nicely, reads easily. Which I always appreciate when I'm reading it live for you. But I thinking about it, I mean, you have Rime of the Frost Maiden, and this could fit so easily as a sort of a side quest in there if you wanted to mix it up. Because think about it, I mean, there's a sudden increase of a need for sleds and sleighs. Well, in Rime of the Frost Maiden, you know, this is an area that's sort of in a perpetual state of frozenness, right? And so, of course, there's going to be an increased demand for these things to move about in that area. So this would fit perfectly, but it could fit really anywhere that you have a frozen or tundra Arctic situation happening. So I really think you should check it out in those links in the video description and give it a click under Murder at Morley's Workshop. Next, we have The Purple Merchant from White Bridge Creations, and it's billed as issue number 1, Relics of the Frozen Tundra, an exploration of deep winter magic and monsters. It's got a subclass, 3 spells, 4 monsters, 6 magic items, and a fully constructed encounter complete with maps. So we just looked at something Arctic, right? So you could combine that with this. This is also for 5th edition, $14.95 for 16 pages. So again, I like to point out connections help you create those unique adventures nobody's thought of, nobody's heard of, put 2 things together, and just really, you could even add your own homebrew and just have a good time. So yeah, this last adventure we talked about, plus this one, could create a whole Arctic situation for you. It says enhance your game with a plethora of new spells, magic items, and monsters, as well as a new sorcerer subclass and a fully fleshed encounter based around the ancient magic of Deep Winter, a primal magic drawn from the blizzards and frozen tundra beyond the borders of civilization. Manipulate ice and storms with this new blizzard sorcerer subclass. Perhaps you are exposed to a sliver of the plane of ice and can now tap into the primal magic from that realm. Maybe you were cursed by a white dragon as a child and have exhibited strange capabilities of manipulating snow and ice. However, you acquired this power. The Blizzard Sorcerer is a master of harnessing blizzards and winter storms to freeze their foes. The stone stronghold, the glacial-bound crossing, has been occupied by a nest of frozen spinebacks, a subspecies of wyvern capable of withstanding frigid temperatures. Test your players with this fully constructed encounter designed for 5th to 7th level, and it's got stat blocks, magic items, maps, NPCs, etc. And it can be adapted to other sizes as well. So you get to see 3 pages of the 16, and so we're going to see some spells, and then you've got the snowman spirit, and then a weapon of winter, and then some magic items. So we'll read one of the spells and one of the magic items. So we've got one called Summon Snowman. It's a 4th level conjuration for Druid, Ranger, Warlock, or Wizard. Range of 60 feet, duration up to 1 hour. Concentration. You bind a spirit of winter to your service for the duration of the spell, represented by the snowman spirit stat block below. The snowman appears in an unoccupied point within range. It is friendly to your allies. The snowman takes this turn immediately after yours in the initiative order. You can issue commands to the snowman. If you give no commands, it takes the dodge action. And there's a little stat block for the snowman, so you can have a snowman spirit helping you, which is kind of fun. And it's got powers like Elemental Slam, Snowball, and Evoke Blizzard. So this could be very thematic, especially in an Arctic setting. And then down here under magic items for sale, you've got the canister of instant bonfire, the cloak of Arctic tundra, and the staff of deep winter. Let's read the cloak of Arctic tundra. It's a wondrous item, uncommon, requires attunement. This fur-lined cloak is fuzzy on the inside and resembles snow on the outside. While wearing this cloak, you gain the following features. You have resistance to cold damage. You can take the hide action as a bonus action while in snowy terrain and have advantage on the stealth check. So fun stuff. Very frosty and ice themed, which is nice, and again works well with either Rime of the Frost Maiden or that adventure we just looked at. So it's nice to have additional Arctic options. So look for it in the links below under Purple Merchant and give it a click. Next we got Revenge of the Kobolds, a challenge adventure for 4 to 6 third level characters, and it's by David Floor and Darklight Interactive. And it's $8.99, normally $9.99, and it's 34 pages. And it says it's a challenge adventure designed for 4 and 6 third level characters. It's designed to be used within a single game session with characters specifically made for this challenge. In this adventure, the players are all kobolds who return to their lair only to find it occupied by quote-unquote heroes. They must reclaim their home by killing every intruder they find. It includes Player's Guide, a DM's Guide, pre-generated kobold characters for each of the core classes, and a map usable in most VTT softwares. So that's cool. And this cover is just really fun with all these little kobolds going, who are you? What are you doing in our space, basically? So I like that. And you get to see 4 of those 34 pages in the full-size preview. And you've got an intro about the adventure, character creation, and then some consumables, which maybe we'll read one of those. And then you've got some lair resources available as well. So instead of dealing with lair actions, you kind of have your own lair resources. Because again, remember, the quote-unquote heroes are invading the character's space here, so they should have some lair opportunities. So consumables, it says in addition to the mundane gear available in the Dungeon Master's Guide and other supplements, players can also purchase pots that burst on impact when hurled at intruders. As an action, you can throw one of these pots at a target by making a ranged attack roll. On a hit, any saving throw the target needs to make against the effects of the pot is made with disadvantage. You can also throw these pots at a point up to 30 feet away or up to 60 feet away with disadvantage. So again, adding flavor to this kobold lair is to have them have these little pots that they prepared. This is their little sophisticated defense mechanism. So the first one's called a stink pot, and it costs 10 GP each. Every creature within a 10-foot radius of the impact point must attempt an immediate DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, an affected creature is coated in the noxious liquid that lasts for 1 minute. Coated creature gains advantage or disadvantage on all attack rolls until it succeeds on a DC 15 con saving throw at the end of each of its turns. On a successful save, the effect on the creature ends immediately. So it's just fun little flavor and different, right? You know, you could even use this as something an NPC kobold does, right? So always appreciate that. And then you got some resource points. The party gets 8 resource points per player character that they may spend on any of the items listed below. If it is a trap or an obstacle, the item listing provides the dimensions and any other requirements the trap may have in order to be placed in the lair. The party can then place it anywhere they like within the lair. The party can purchase up to 4 minions, either kobold lackeys that came along with your group and avoided the slaughter, or smaller rat minions they use during their hunts to fight alongside them. So options and just a fun little kind of reverse scenario. Normally you're the heroes invading the space, but this is the opposite. Your space is being invaded. You've got all these little stink pots and other little pots that you've set up that you're going to use as defenses. You've got maybe some minions like rats and other kobolds. And I just think it's a lot of fun with traps. And I mean, what a different spin on things. So I think, and people love kobolds. Kobolds are popular in my eyes. So I think you should check it out under Revenge of the Kobolds in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have the search for Darwah's Temple. a mid-level fantasy adventure from Gaxworks and Luke Gygax, and it's 64 pages for $49.95 because it's a hardcover premium color book, which is awesome. I like Gaxworks. I think it's cool to see Gygax's legacy continue from his family, because Luke is the son of Gary Gygax, who created Dungeons and Dragons. And it says, your party has been tasked with finding the hidden city of Belwa, lost in the ages past beneath the shifting sands of the Blighted Lands, and within it, the forsaken temple of Darwah. Retrieve the life-giving waters from this temple, and the people of Chintufi will reward you handsomely. Fail, and you might be considered lucky if you are among the dead. A fantasy adventure through Luke Gygax's world of Ocorum for 6 to 8 characters of level 7 to 10. And is fully compatible with the 5th edition. And it's got really fun artwork on the cover of the hardcover. So I think it's just nice to have a throwback. And down here are some links to some of the other Ocorum titles. We've covered a few on the channel in the past episodes of this series. So if you want that old school feel, if you want to kind of connect with Gary Gygax's legacy, this is a good way to do it. Or just even looking for a fun Ocorum adventure. I think Ocorum is a cool setting. It works well with any kind of desert stuff you've already got as well. When we looked at that Oasis adventure earlier, you could probably incorporate this with that or vice versa. So lots of options, and it's in the video descriptions links under search for Darwah's Temple. Give it a click. Next, we've got Slasher Zine number 1 for Mörk Borg, and it's from Michael Mars. I wanted to say Michael Myers because it's a slasher, but it's Michael Mars, and it's $6 for 140 pages. And it says, a slasher film is a subgenre of horror films involving a killer murdering a group of people, usually by use of bladed tools, although the term slasher may occasionally be used informally as a generic term for any horror film involving murder. Film analysts cite an established set of characteristics which set slasher films apart from other horror subgenres such as splatter films and psychological horror. Slasher Jam was a jam I ran over the course of October 2021 that got 20 entries. I have compiled those entries into 2 volumes. Volume 1 contains classes, items, and monsters. Volume 2 contains the adventures of Slasher Jam. This product contains both volumes. So you're getting 2 volumes of the zine. It's like a compilation of Mörk Borg stuff. So everything from things like Slasher Victims, Voorhees Slasher, Cultist Zombies, the Black Stallion Manor Massacre, Gregor's Folly, etc. I mean, Mörk Borg is kind of dark and horror themed anyway, so this fits perfectly with that. So let's look at some of the interiors. You get to see 10 of those 140 pages, and it starts already with Giallo, which I love. Giallo movies, which are like Giallo's like Italian horror movies with a particular style, starting in like I want to say the 50s, maybe the 60s. Probably the 60s, but anyway, not sure. But anyway, they have a lot of good movies if you like horror movies. Giallo, and I think it's Italian for yellow, which is associated with the history as well. I think it was used to symbolize the violence, or maybe associated with pulp covers. I don't remember, but I know there's a reason it's called Giallo and that it's associated with the yellow color. So look into that history if you're a horror fan. It's interesting if you don't know much about it. So this section is just on some Giallo themed traps, and then you've got stalking murderers down here, and I mean, just look at this fun Mörk Borg style stuff in here. You've got just pain mongers and always there, and Voorhees Slasher. I mean, just so much fun layout stuff. Wretched lore. I mean, it's really fun. And there's a Freddy Krueger looking character, Mind Jester of Oak Road. So fun stuff. So let's read Always There. It says, a silent figure from a forgotten tragedy seeking vengeance on those long past, tall, broad, and presumably human, stalks and pursues at a slow but steady pace, disappears when not watched, and appears when feared most, and always there, observes and waits, still and unresponsive until its unblinking eyes see a vulnerability or whatever it is that tempts its bloodlust to begin its unflinching stride towards its next victim. And then it's got like this little stat block here of things that it's up to. Again, this is OSR Mörk Borg, but you could probably convert this to 5th edition if you have some experience with that. So let's look at one of the Giallo traps. So you got a propeller statue, a grinning figure made of stone with a large 3-bladed fixture emerging from its chest. Tripwire activates. Once active, the propeller begins to spin and the figure grinds across the ground towards the nearest target for D8 rounds. Characters may dive out of the way of the propeller so long as they have room to do so, but suffer damage if they fail and damage if the figure corners them. So fun stuff. And it's all under Slasher Zine in the links below, so give it a click. Next we have Sword and Bugle by Peter Rudin Burgess and parts per million. It's $3.99 for 22 pages, and it's compatible with 5th edition. It says it's based on the traditional folktale Kenobi Dick and Thomas of Erciladun. In the original tale, Kenobi Dick deals with Lucifer himself, complete with a cloven hoof. I thought that maybe this was a little tough for a tier 1 adventure, so Lucifer doesn't get to make an appearance this time. The end result is Kenobi is no better. At the start of the adventure, Kenobi is missing, and the characters are asked or begged for their assistance in finding the missing horse trader. The investigation will lead them to several NPCs in the town or village. This adventure is easily parachuted into an ongoing game and out to Kenobi's farm. The end of the adventure takes place beneath an old abandoned watchtower where things go from mystery and investigation to the occult and magical. And then there's this little video here at the bottom that kind of talks about it a little more, so you can watch that and get some details. So that's cool. So let's look inside. You got 22 pages, so you get to see the whole thing in this preview. So you got your contents with your intro, rumors, all that fun stuff, locations, advice, and conclusion. So let's read some of the rumors. We always love those. But let me just do a quick scroll through so you can see there's maps in here. And yeah, all kinds of stuff. So let me scroll back up and get back to those rumors. And we will read a few of those so you can get the feel. So it says, Kenobi Dickin was a horse thief who would brand any horse he could get his hands on as his own. Kenobi had come into a lot of gold recently and was tight-lipped about where it came from. Kenobi Dickin threatened the local priest with a knife last month, and Kenobi's father was a horse thief. The farm today grew out of that dark business. Now that's just 4 of the 14. So you've got to get in here and read the rest of those. And then it's got a reaction table. And I like that because it gives you 6 different options of how the people around, while the rumor is being spewed, would respond. So you've got not interested or not interested but, and all of that, and then it explains what each of those means. So not interested and the characters are talking to probably didn't like Kenobi and doesn't care that he is missing. This person will only give or repeat one of the negative rumors. So I like that. You don't see that often with the rumors table kind of taking it to another level. So and yeah, I like that a lot. So check it out under Sword and Bugle in the links below. Give it a click. Next we got Tavern Tales, Volume 1, A Trip Away In, and it's for 5th edition from Escape Plan Games, $30 for 296 pages. So that's a lot of pages. It says it's more than just an anthology of adventures. Tavern Tales provides game masters a living, breathing, functional tavern that they can insert into their homebrew game world. A Trip Away In is a circus-themed tavern built by Flip, a former high flyer and tightrope walker. A Trip Away In is filled with unique characters, each with their own story to tell and tasks for your heroes to complete. Visit the tavern bathhouse or play a game of liar's dice with the 2-timing twins, Tia and Mia, or taste the savory meals from Esteban, the dragonborn chef. A Trip Away Inn provides a home away from home, as well as a meeting place for schemes and plans. This book gives you all the tools you need to bring the whimsical atmosphere of a Trip Away Inn to life for your players. Whether you need a little breathing room to write the next great adventure or need the next hook to build from, a Trip Away Inn is rife with inspiration. And it's got 14 adventures spanning from 1st to 13th level. So you could do a whole campaign centered on this little inn, which is nice. It's got 12 merchants, 4 player backgrounds, 2 player subclasses, new magic items and weapons, rules for player-run shops, and 22 tavern NPCs. And some of these NPCs, I mean, you could pluck out of here and put into some other thing, right? So, and same with the subclasses, backgrounds. You can use those elsewhere. So lots of reusability, it looks like, and 296 pages is a lot. So you've got the contents here, so it goes through the tavern itself, and then the merchant stalls, and player-run stalls, and then the adventures, and then you've got the player options. So the backgrounds include fortune teller, acrobat, tent master, and clown, and then subclasses owlbear, tamer, and the ink devil, it looks like. And then you got magic items, tracking sheets. And I mean, look at how beautiful this artwork is. I really, really love this art throughout this. I mean, this page here, just stunning. And then you got the Ink Devil here. It's really nice. Ink Devil Warlock. Expanded spell list. Eyes of the Scribe. So let's see if I can read this. It's kind of fuzzy. I'll try. The Ink Devil Warlock, your person is a devil composed entirely of ink. Or your patron is a devil composed entirely of ink. It thrives on insight. It's too blurry for me to read. I don't want to try. But it says your patron is a devil composed entirely of ink, and you can see that here. Really cool. And it's got features called Eyes of the Scribe and Devilish Insight. So yeah, I like this a lot. I love this artwork here. Just stunning. And just the notion that you're getting 300 pages, mostly I mean, you've got some subclasses and stuff in here, but it's mostly devoted to a singular tavern. I mean, you don't see that much, right? To have so much attention devoted to one location, one building in a town or wherever, right? With really beautiful artwork. I mean, even the little outhouse here has a glowing little moon on it. And I just think you're bound to find something in these 296 pages that you can use, if not the whole thing. I'm certain a lot of you will be able to use the whole thing. So check it out under Tavern Tales in the links below and give it a click. Next, we've got Terralundis Player's Guide by Ben Bernard and Adrian Slocum and Golden Celestial Games for Pathfinder first edition. And it's 192 pages, $9.99. And it's a campaign setting book that details new races, classes, and archetypes for Terralundian characters using the first edition of Pathfinder, which is also, compatible with 3.5 D&D. It includes epic level progressions for the vigilante and hybrid classes, as well as new species, an expanded dilettante class, archetypes, feats, spells, and more. Also included are 7 huge poster-sized continent maps, a large world map, and a 163-page atlas of nation maps. It even has a calendar including the phases of the moon. So getting in those 192 pages for $9.99, you're getting a lot. It says it's a world prone to planar rifting, where odd things drift in and out. Sages draw their powers from the 6 moons to learn the secrets of the immortal madness, a long lost time when the gods warred with each other. So fun. Let's look inside. So you get to see 19 of the 192 pages. So you've got the table of contents here. So it's going into the character classes, archetypes, prestige classes, feats, combat spells and magic, equipment, geography, lots on the geography, and then a table of tables, which I always appreciate. And then goes into the world itself. So you get to see, I love these little circular maps that show the continents. So you've got whole continents, you've got moons, half-cat folks, squirrel folk, and other species in here. It looks like some kind of mermaid creature, lizard folk kind of thing. And then character classes, alternative experience and point progression. So tons of material, but let's go look at a little bit. I want to look at the moons because that was particularly interesting to me. So it talks about all the moons here. So the first one, Aureolus, the Watcher. It appears a white disc with a blue circle. It appears about half the size of Farabar. When it is full, Aureolus is associated with wisdom. And then Farabar, the Sleeper, silvery white in color. It appears very similar to Earth's moon. Farabar is associated with intelligence. Lycanthropes are only affected by Farabar. So very fun. And yeah, there's a bunch of other ones. But yeah, I like when the moons are involved because you don't always hear about them too much in some of these books. They're kind of ignored, or they're just used as representative of a god or something. So it says magic is a way of life on Terralundis. Some magic users have reached levels of power undreamt of, although the vast majority of the inhabitants can barely cast a minor orison. Nonetheless, magic is ever present and is generally readily available in larger cities. Terralundis is also a wild, untamed wilderness. Most areas have hundreds of miles of wilderness between villages. This low population density, coupled with high magic, have resulted in a general stasis of technological development. Humans take a back seat here. Most of the humans that are born on Terralundis have some sort of planar influence. Aasimars and Oreads, for example. Most humans live in either Windicus or Syl, but even where they are a large part of the populace, they aren't the most prevalent species. So fun. I like it. There's a lot of detail in here, and they built a whole world with tons and tons of. You can see like the whole continents on the globe, which I think is nice, and they've got a decent amount of artwork and easy to read text. So I think you should look for it in the links below under Terralundis and give it a click. Next, we have Aqualai, campaign setting Western Realm Atlas from J. Evans Payne and Infinium Game Studios. We did a video on Infinium Game Studios' FlexTale system, which this also makes use of. And we did like a solo video on that, so you should check that out as well, because it's really designed for solo role playing. But this is a whole atlas, and what's crazy about it, it's already a bestseller seller, because it's 388 pages, it's system agnostic, and it says the largest, most comprehensive, most detailed fantasy atlas ever created, with so many pages, and it's just an atlas. 64,000 square miles of intricately detailed terrain, cities, ruins, and points of interest. I mean, that's so much coverage. I mean, most atlases don't cover that many square miles. So I think this is a really interesting project because it's, you just haven't seen that much. It says, if you're already familiar with the mapping approach Infinium Game Studio takes, the following will come as no surprise. And so they want to make sure it's useful and helpful, these maps, during gameplay. This atlas contains variations on most content designed to make it easy to run and to show players when needed. Nearly every map is presented in both GM and player redacted version. Most are also presented with optional grid markers to make navigation a snap. Each regional and map cell map is presented with a continental framing overlay, which quickly places the map visually amongst the continent itself, so that's nice, easy to see. And it says it's been decades of homebrew planning, and there's 3,000 points of interest. I mean, again, have you ever seen that? I don't recall seeing it. I know that they've done the Forgotten Realms Atlas, etc., but I still don't think it's reached that many points of interest. 1,400 map locations, 66 different types of phenomena, caves, shrines, vaults, temples, caches, ancient halls, etc. 384 individual locations of significance. 1561 cities, strongholds, castles, and ruins. I mean, so you get the 388-page Atlas PDF laid out in painstaking detail. Over 5 gigabytes worth of ultra-high resolution 300 DPI maps. 150 heat maps, 2 gigabytes worth. 275 map cell maps, 80 regional and continental maps, 600 map quads for each region, continent, and individual map cell. I mean, this is like a fully mapped out atlas, right? And then there's some stuff that isn't even in here yet that they're going to add later. So the stuff I read is already here. So you're going to get a massive amount to start with, and they're going to add some additional things here, some solo adventuring options as well. So if you're familiar with Flex Tales, so here's some maps that started off, and then you can see how they're kind of quadding it out so that they can drill down and say, okay, E07, here's all the stuff in it. But yeah, it just goes on and on. I mean, there's so much information here about this location, and here's the zoom in. You've got all these different locations like Dreadspire, Frozen Tomb, Commoner's Prison, Oates is a little town, Garrison here, Clemson. Yeah, if you like maps, if you like exploring, I mean, you could even just take this as maps and then decide what these points of interest are yourself. You don't have to use their descriptions. Unfortunately, the full-size preview isn't working, but that's okay. You got to see a lot of the detailed maps on the catalog page, and then there's also the table of contents, which is massive, and then you can see some of the maps in here. Like, just look at the detail and the options you have for your maps. Like, so many variations for every map that you can really, if you are a map fiend, if you like maps, if you like cartography, if you like world building, and just even if you just want to look at this from the point of view of like, let me see what somebody else has done and how far they've taken it to inspire me to make my own thing, that's another option for you, because it's only $9.99 for this 380. That's almost 400 pages plus all those attachments. The files. I mean, this is a significant amount of content for $9.99. I think it's a steal at that price, and they're going to be adding more. I mean, it's already probably more than $9.99 worth of stuff, and they're going to add more. So if you are a fan of maps, if you want to just get some inspiration for points of interest, or you can even extract some of these points of interest and put them in your home world, or if you want to explore many square feet or square miles, 64,000, if you want to explore 64,000 square miles of a fantasy setting, then this is the option for that. So look for it under Aquilai Western Realm Atlas in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Where the Wheat Grows Tall from Tindy Tin Toads, and this really beautiful faux leather cover. I love it. I think it looks really fun. Reminds me of so many books I've seen, and it's $8 for 47 pages for OSR, and it says Where the Wheat Grows Tall is an old school fantasy adventure for low-level characters inspired by Slavic myth. Deeper than a dungeon crawl, this adventure is filled with personalities and relationships boiling beneath the surface. Cross the old stone wall and discover a different world that follows different rules in 20 keyed locations. The adventure begins at the abandoned farm of the Poletnikov family. Spirits linger and signs point to power beyond the wall. From here, players can choose from a variety of goals or entrances, weighing history for themselves. The far side of the wall is governed by two ancient fae, the Noon Lady and the Midnight Maiden. Once wild spirits, then bound local gods, their idols now decay, forgotten behind forbidden fields. The field beyond the wall is a mystery to explore, full of simple encounters and locations to draw the party deeper into the field, both literally and figuratively. Entreat with the ghosts of old wars, explore the root-bound tunnels of the Poloviks, or befriend Troll, the timid troll guarding the field's solitary bridge. So it's 44 pages printed in black and white digest format and features over 20 black and white illustrations. Very fun. And this is PDF. So let's look inside and see more fun little back cover art here. And then you've got your talks about all the different characters already. I mean, they just sound fun. I mean, the Noon Lady and the Midnight Maiden, those sound really cool. And then it's got a section on the Poletnikovs and their disappearance with this fun little artwork of the family here. So we'll get to see in this 5 pages, we'll read a little bit about the Poletnikovs. It says they have lived on their farm for generations. Once their fields prospered with the help of the sisters, but old wars broke bonds and gates were sealed. Taboo is stronger than the wall behind the old tree, but history lingers in this family. In recent days, things have changed. Nikolai, 15, made a pact with Likho, Area 16. The Likho spun tales of past bounty, seeking humans' hands to fell the Midnight Idol and free her love, Area 18. Nikolai has been cursed by the Noon Lady and wanders as a random encounter. Then you've got Lena, who joined her sister Masha and the Bearstukai at tea time, then followed the fairies to the field. Lena runs the Bearstukai in a random encounter, believing herself one too. And then Father Peter noticed his missing children and quickly panicked, smashing down the old gate to go rescue them. He was turned into a scarecrow and is slowly dying or already dead. So, and that's just a few of the Politnikovs. So I think you should come in here and find out more about them and explore this lovingly crafted, beautifully illustrated work called Where the Wheat Grows Tall. Look for it in the links below. Well, that is our last DriveThruRPG title of the week. We're going to move on to DM's Guild, but before we do, please be sure to follow me on Twitter at Splinterverse, and we are going to be doing all kinds of stuff on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere as we ramp up the free content we're offering. I talked about it at the beginning of the video, and I want to make sure you don't miss it. We're going to be giving out free content throughout the week, every week, as well as exclusive discounts to books for you, because we know how much, if you're watching this show, we know how much you love Dungeons and Dragons books. So we want to start offering some exclusive discounts for you from publishers that you're familiar with, from DriveThru and DM's Guild. And we've also got polls where we want your feedback. I mean, just all sorts of fun stuff. If you missed the intro in the video at the beginning where I talk about the different things coming, make sure you check that out. But first of all, be sure to follow us at Twitter and Instagram and all these places, because we're going to have lots of fun stuff headed your way. And please subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. We're almost to 1,000, which will tremendously help us. So if you haven't subscribed, or you know people that might want to subscribe, please get the word out. Share the video out there. Click all the links in the video description. Support all of these creators. They do such great work, and we want them to continue doing that. And when you purchase their book, that's like urging them on to continue doing that. And if you're feeling super generous today, consider purchasing one of the Splinterverse media books. We have 5 that we released in 2021, and we're working on our first Kickstarter right now. It's super exciting, and I'm just dying to talk about it, but it'll be soon. I'll be able to start talking in detail. But until then, check out our past work with Feywild Companion, 150 pages of Feywild fun on DM's Guild. And then you've got our Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets with everything you could ever want for players and DMs that's dragon themed. And then you've got our Van Richten's Librum of Lineages, which covers the new lineage mechanic in detail, including optional rules and 4 new lineages for any setting. Secrets of the Draugr covers a brand new race that is a hybrid of Draugr, or Duergar, I should say, and the Drow. So it's a really fun, interesting melding of their cultures and abilities, as well as some deities and fortune telling. And then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is just over 100 pages of potion goodness that works well with Strixhaven or anywhere you want to use a potion. There's a magic school in there, vendors that are fully stocked, VTT maps, and just a bunch of great origin stories for each of the potions with fantastical art. So check that out. Now, let's move on to DM's Guild. Our first DM's Guild title this week is Adventures of Sarlona. It says, explore the forgotten lands of humanity in Eberron, from Brian Hamilton, $7.99 for 440 pages. It says, welcome to the Cradle of Humanity. Prepare for a world dominated by alien overlords from a plane you've only visited in your dreams. Chart an expedition through the treacherous mountains of Adar. Explore the ancient Yuan-Ti ruins of Sirkarn. Avoid the watchful eyes of the inspired masters of Riedra on your journey to the war mazes of Or-Kaloon, or seek answers about the past from Akiak dwarves in the frozen lands of Tashana. Inside the book, you'll find everything you need to unlock the mysteries of Sarlona, a comprehensive overview of the nations and the people who have settled in the continent, both past and present, a detailed map of the continent and its nations, new races, subclasses, backgrounds, factions, equipment, and spells unique for characters from Sarlona. So lots of stuff in here. Sounds really fun. Let's look inside. So you get to see 10 of those 40 pages. And you can see here it goes through the history, the factions, the nations, and then it's got the races, starting with Eventi and goes all the way down through Zephs. And under each of those, it's got different sections, including traits, etc. And then you've got class options, including a circle for druids, some monk options, ranger, rogue. I like the name of the rogue one. It's called 1,000 Faces. And then you've got backgrounds, including Inseeker, Freedom Fighter, and the Unchained. And several for that are race specific, it looks like, or region specific, perhaps. And then equipment, magic, including new spells. So very fun. Lots of stuff packed in here. So we've got the introduction, and then welcome to Sarlona, the history, the 12 kingdoms, and then a really nice map. That's a gorgeous map, actually. Yeah, good job on that. And the Age of Unity goes over that. Sarlona today, or Sarlona today. Wild Zones, that sounds fun. And then the Heirs of Ur-Kaloon. So lots of lore. If you like lore, this is going to be fun for you. If you want to read the background of these regions, seems really cool. So let's zoom in and read about the Wild Zones. It says the Wild Zones of Sarlona are similar to the Manifest Zones of Khorvaire, with the exception that they are always considered conterminous with the plane to which they are connected. Properties of the plane to which a wild zone is connected can affect the region in various ways. For example, a wild zone connected to Fernia might have pools of lava or trees with limbs wreathed in eternal flame. These effects may not be visible until a creature passes into the wild zone, making them particularly dangerous. In addition to these dangers, creatures from the planes to which these wild zones are connected can potentially cross over to the material plane and vice versa. The Edgewalkers frequently create buffer zones and establish defensive parameters around wild zones within the borders of Riedra. However, wild zones in Sikarn, Tashana, or Adar may remain completely unmarked. So, fun. I like that. It says factions of Sarlona. There are a few factions within the borders of Sarlona. Then, there are fewer factions within the borders of Sarlona than there are in the lands of Zendrick and Khorvaire. And so then some of the factions are the Broken Throne. While the inspired leaders of Riedra have done their level best to destroy all historical records from time of the 12 kingdoms, the ancient ruins from this era still dot the lands of Sarlona, enticing those curious enough to unlock their mysteries. Over the centuries, a clandestine organization of would-be scholars, arcane magic users, and religiously inclined individuals have been exploring these ruins, searching for lost writings and ancient artifacts that can help shine a light on the past. Some preserve what they find in hidden repositories, others revive the past by incorporating the religious and cultural traditions of these long-dead civilizations by incorporating them into their daily lives. The Broken Throne is the most active in settlements located near the ruins of Sarlona's ancient civilizations, passing their information on to other members through the Dream Merchants, the Summit Road Guides, and even the guiding path leaders of Riedra. So that's just one. The Broken Throne is just one of the factions they've got detailed here. They've got the 8 monasteries, the Dreaming Dark. So it sounds really fun and different and detailed. And yeah, that's just the lore part. We haven't even gotten to the backgrounds, the equipment, the subclasses. So I think there's a lot waiting for you. The art is nice. The layout is nice. Yeah, it looks like a really good purchase. So check it out in the links below under Adventurers of Sarlona and give it a click. Next, we have An Elf and an Orc Had a Little Baby 2. So it's the sequel. It's those old movies, 3 Men and a Baby, right, where they had the funny little sequels. This is like that. It has a little sequel, and I love the art on the cover. So fun. And it's from V.J. Harris and Adam Hancock, $17.95 for 91 pages. Already a copper bestseller in its first week. I know the first edition was quite popular. It was in the most popular titles for a long time, and I really love the concept of the first one. And this one seems to have a similar concept, so that's great. And the first one was platinum, so it sold over 1,000 copies. And so this one has 32 new and expanded parentages and a whole host of new backgrounds. It's a 91-page rules supplement that, together with the original, entirely replaces Chapter 2 of the player's handbook. Instead of the D&D's bioessentialist approach, this title separates biological traits and cultural traits into two categories, parentage and upbringing. To create a new player character using the supplement, players choose 2 birth parents and an upbringing. They then they go on to choose a background and class as normal. Players can feel free to create any combination to create a unique and vibrant character. So you've got 32 new and expanded parentages from Abil to Wraith. And then you've got 20 plus new upbringings from being raised by abjurers to water mages, and a robust system for making your own upbringing options. That's really fun. And then you don't need the first book to use this. You just need the player's handbook and the free basic rules. You can decide what works best at your table, whether the parentages can go together, from the previous book, or which ones work together, which ones don't. It's up to you. So that's nice that they're kind of leaving it open there. And you'll notice at the bottom that you can get both books for a bundle. So that's a pretty good deal. In fact, that bundle for both of them is lower than the individual price on this one. So if you really want to get both books, that's a really good option as well. So let's take a look inside. See, you can see they've got the Aarakocra parentage all the way down to the Yuanti here. And then something else I noticed, which I really like, is they're referencing some other DM's Guild books as far as the parentages and upbringings presented are adaptations of some of the character options. They're not only from these other books. So, you are getting some ones that are unique to this book, and from player handbook and all of that stuff as well. But I think it's cool that they've also included some of the monstrous race options from these books, because if you don't know, when you publish on the DM's Guild, you're giving Wizards of the Coast, as well as the other creators on the DM's Guild, the opportunity to use the material that you've created. They don't have carte blanche, but they are things that you can do with it. So I do like to see when creators are doing that, because it doesn't happen a ton, but I like seeing it. And it's really cool, because then there's the promotions here for those books as well. So getting the word out and some teamwork going on. I like it. And then let's look down here. We get to see 50 of the 91 pages. So you're getting to see more than 50% of this book, which I think is really helpful. So you've got the introduction, how things work here, upbringing traits, and then it goes right into the parentages. So we're going to just scroll through so you can get a good idea. I mean, look at this lovely artwork they've got for the different parentages. Yeah, some very nice artists working on this. I like it. Yeah, just scrolling through. They've got a flump parentage. That's awesome. Maybe we'll look at that one when we scroll back up. But yeah, I just wanted you to kind of get a general idea. Oh, they even have this little Herongon and an Illithid, Infernal. Yeah, this is fun. Yeah. All right, so we've got the flump parentage here. Let's zoom in and take a deeper dive into this one. Love the artwork, though. It's so cool. It says, the mysterious flumps drift through the Underdark, propelled through the air by jets whose sound gives them their name. A flump glows faintly, reflecting their moods and their colors. Soft pink means they are amused, deep blue is sadness, green expresses curiosity, and crimson is anger. Flumps communicate telepathically, though they resemble jellyfish. Flumps are sentient beings of great intelligence and wisdom, possessing advanced knowledge of religion, philosophy, mathematics, and countless other subjects. So yeah, flumps are just a fun creature to begin with. So let's read about the mixed flumps. A few flumps leave their native cloister to seek out new minds. The rare flump might be adopted into another community and make home for themselves among other people. Those in frequent contact with a flump may begin to exhibit telepathic ability, or they might glow different colors or broadcast their emotions. The rare individuals who take on flump traits may even have children or grandchildren who have more pronounced physical traits. And then it goes into the traits, including, it says, so you have a pool of 8 points to spend for each of your 2 birth parents. If either or both of your birth parents are flumps, choose from the following. So then, you could spend all 8 here and pick from the flump traits, or you could pick, spend 6 of your points here and then 2 under your other parents' list of traits. So let's say you were half flump and then half something else, and maybe you want to get the tendrils here, so that's 6 points, and then you go use the 2 points somewhere else. So it says if you get the tendrils, your unarmed strikes deal 1d4 piercing plus 1d4 acid on a hit. You can use dex instead of strength for an attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes. Your unarmed strikes count as a weapon with the finesse property for all features that require it, such as sneak attack. So yeah, you could get this tendril ability and give yourself some cool unarmed strikes. But then they have some that are 0 as well. So you could take this without spending any of your points. So little, if you inherit this trait from your other birth parent, also your size is small. So yeah, if your other birth parent also has the little trait, then you become small. And then there's some negative points as well, which is kind of like giving yourself a disadvantage on stuff. Like, for example, exposed mind, you are sensitive to telepathy, you have vulnerability to psychic damage. So that would be -2 points. So you'd basically, instead of having 8 points, you would have 10, because you're basically subtracting 2. Because you're taking a disadvantage deliberately. And then you've got some 0.1s, etc. And then here's some example birth parents. Yeah, so it's nice that they're giving you examples to work with. I really like this. I want to get a copy for myself at some point. Yeah, really fun. They did a great job on the first one, and this one looks equally great, and the writing's very clean and nice, and I love the artwork. It's very wonderful artwork in there. So I think you should look for it in the links below under an elf and an orc and give it a click. Next, we've got Arcane Tattoos number 3 from Christopher Langham. It's a suggested price of $2.99 on Pay What You Want for 14 pages. So this is the third in a series, and we've covered, I think, both of the previous ones. And it says most of the author's been excited to continue making them. And it says, while using the tattoos, however, I found the oldest ones need new balancing, and each of them needed ease of use updates. With that idea in mind, I've included all of the content originally in both Arcane Tattoo booklets here, updated them, and added 7 new tattoos as well. This will likely be the last Arcane Tattoos book I make, because new tattoos will simply be added to this book in the future updates. So I'm curious, Christoph, if the people that purchased the other ones got the updates as well. So hopefully they did. You've got the rules for tattooing both regular and arcane tattoos, a new artisan's tool set called Tattooist Tools, their components and uses, and then there's the Arcane Tattooist feat, and then 21 tattoos. I guess, thinking about that though, Christoph, if somebody purchased the old one, they could just put 0 here and then get it for free. So I guess you don't really need to necessarily update the old book, because that would be a lot of extra stuff. So, but I love it. 21 different tattoos. That's a lot of options. I mean, tattoos are really fun. I think it's a really cool mechanic that's been added to the game. So, and I like that Christoph is making sure to revisit and tweak, because over time you discover stuff about these things that you make, right? And there are legitimate reasons to fix some things. So get to see 3 of those 14 pages. So you got the rules for creating the tattoos, and then you can treat the tattoos even as feats if you want. And then here's this Arcane Tattooist, where you can actually become the one who does the tattoos, it looks like. And then there's other components you can use for tattoos, and the Tattooist tools. It says this Tattooist tools allow one creature to tattoo the epidermal layer of themselves or another creature. Proficiency in these tools increases the odds of a tattoo appearing as intended. And then it describes the kit itself, the cost, and then the skills. If you're proficient in Tattooist tools, you can use them with your DM's permission to gain advantage on the following skill checks under certain circumstances relevant to tattoos. Each skill listed has a general description meant to inspire you using these tools in this way. So you've got Arcana, History, and Insight/Investigation. And the following table includes the required DCs to create tattoos of certain sizes. So yeah, it's basically a DC check to make sure you're doing a proper tattooing to convey these powers to people. So I like that. I think it's fun. And, having so many tattoos, 21 different tattoos, I really think this is cool. And it's a great price. And that's nice that if you get this one, they're going to be continually updated. So it's just going to all be in this one book. So I think this would probably be the best one to get because you're going to get the latest and greatest. And I like that there's even a toolkit that you can have a proficiency in. So look for it under Arcane Tattoos 3 in the links below and give it a click. Next we have Barbarian Path of Contagious Fury from Matt Houston. It's only $1 for the 6 pages. And it says barbarians of this subclass can infect their enemies with their rage, turning them into mindless raging creatures. At later levels, this ability even extends to raising the dead from the very earth. Be the epicenter of your own zombie apocalypse movie. Like the idea of raging zombies but don't want to play a barbarian? That's fine. Also included are 2 new spells themed around fury, 3 new monsters, and 2 new thematic magic items. And I love this artwork. The cover is really nice. It looks like it was by Ross Sutterfield. So good job, Ross. And let's look inside. So you get to see the whole thing. Yeah, that's great. So you get to look at the path here. And then magic items. And those monsters in here too. So you got Lab Monkey, Raging Lab Ape, Rage Zombie, and then spells. So yeah, you've got your path here. So let's just read a little bit about the path. So barbarians of this path hold within themselves a contagious malice manifesting as black smoke emanating from their eyes. Whether its origin is a virus, curse, or a gift from Baphomet himself, it does not truly matter. One touch from these barbarians causes an insatiable fury and bloodlust to awaken in their enemies, abandoning all concepts of friend or foe. So you've got, when you're raging, your touch can cause an irrepressible fury to erupt in those you touch. Whenever you cause melee damage to an enemy creature whilst you are raging, you may have that creature make a con saving throw. If it succeeds, nothing happens. If it fails, it becomes infected with insatiable fury with the following effects. The infected creature must use its action to attack or move towards the nearest creature that is not you or creatures friendly toward you. The creature has advantage on strength saving throws and disadvantage on wisdom saving throws. The creature must make a con saving throw at the end of each of its turns. If it succeeds, the effects end early, otherwise they last for 2 rounds. And then it says you may infect one creature at a time in this manner, with their maximum challenge rating determined by your level according to the table below. Additionally, your rages no longer end after 1 minute, providing there is at least one creature infected by endemic fury within 30 feet of you at the end of your turn. So, very cool idea. And let's look at Potion of Calm. This potion's dense pale blue liquid has a small glowing orange sphere that rises and sets within it. If given within a day of infection, either orally or topically, this potion can restore up to 5 humanoid creatures back to a state before they were turned into rage zombies. The restored targets are revived with 1 hit point and are unconscious until they receive a long rest. Additionally, an uninfected humanoid creature that drinks an entire potion of calm is immune to becoming a rage zombie by any means for up to 1 week. Okay, cool. So it's nice that there's some antidotes for these rage zombies that you might create. Yeah, it seems like there's some fun ideas in here. So check it out under Barbarian Path of Contagious Fury in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Blistering Sun Desert Encounters by Chris Valentine. It's $2.49 for 31 pages. It says complement your campaign with a variety of random desert encounters. This supplement provides hundreds of encounter variations, well over 1,000 possible permutations for your sandy journey. This also includes 12 new creatures, such as the Armored Sandworm, Bone Giant, Clawed Shrub Hunter, Salt Golem, and more. Then you've got 6 maps, including Airship Wreckage, Dig Site, Carcass, Oasis, Obelisk, Temple. So nice. I'm liking this. And you know, this map of an oasis could be used in some of the other things we've talked about on this series. Desert stuff is a lot of fun. I think you know, it's really cool to see people doing desert stuff, because I feel like desert is like one of the least used areas unless you're doing something with Dark Sun. So I like that. You got all these encounters here, tons of encounters, and then the appendix of creatures, and then the map, and got the desert encounters here starting out. So night and variant, and then a list of all of them, including a roll table so that you can basically roll the encounter if you want, and then pick it from this list. So let's say you roll a 10, it says you're going to get the sinkhole encounter, for example. And it tells you the type, so it's either an active task, a creature, it's an environmental, it's a feature, an object, or a visual encounter. And then some of them have like a night or a variant, so which makes sense because some creatures obviously are nocturnal and some are diurnal. Very cool. You got all of these things here. So air elemental hitching around on a gust of wind, an air elemental moves into view. And then airship wreck, the wreckage of a ship lies amidst the sand. The crash site looks old and debris is scattered all about. There is nothing salvageable amongst the wreckage, but there is enough room to make a camp or base out of the fuselage should the party deem it necessary. So you're seeing 8 of the 31 pages. So some of them are going to be, like it says here, a visual encounter where you're just seeing something and reading this kind of flavor text. Others are going to be a creature where you may have just choose to battle it. And then others are going to be objects, like there's one here called Bodies, which is an object one, and then Carcass Decomposing is another object one. And here's a feature encounter, City on the Wall. Let's read that. Long crack in the ground over 100 feet wide reveals a steep canyon. Along the side of the far wall, a city facade has been carved into it, and within the facade, buildings have been created. Desert dwellers can be seen working within shops and wagons. This hidden city is a reprieve for travelers and welcomes a chance to trade. So, very cool. I like that. Yeah, lots of options. Some are longer and shorter. So, you can mix it up. You can even have several of these, even just traveling to and fro. The encounter maps, they are in there, but if you want the full resolution, you do have to buy a separate map pack. But the price is low, right? It's $2.49, so getting the full map pack if you want to use those, I don't think is that big of a deal. So I like it. I think there's just not enough desert stuff anyway, so this could be a really good thing to just have. Maybe you're going to have this journey in your campaign from somewhere to another place, and they're going to go through a desert. So this could be just a montage, things that you recite as they go through this journey, because maybe you don't want to have an encounter. It's really up to the DM. Sometimes you don't want to slow the narrative down and have a battle everywhere, right? So you can just montage it and say, okay, you drove through here and on this wagon, and you saw this, and then you saw this a little later, and the next day you saw that, and then you made it to the wherever, right? So pretty cool. And it's under Blistering Sun in the links below, so give it a click. Next we have Book of Feywild Artifacts from Darren Kinney, Matthew Whitby, Nathan Doyle, Sticky Hunter, and Val Serene for $4.95 for 13 pages. It says this arsenal of Feywild objects add wonder and delight to any game, potions to make you float, silly straw to help you rest, or powerful Fey Warden weaponry to aid you in battle. And you can see they have some really nice artwork and layout going on. So let's take a look inside. You get to see pretty much the whole book here, because it's 11 of the 13 pages, and it doesn't start with the covers. So with the covers that would be 13. And I'm just going to scroll through so you can see the overall look. But yeah, it looks really cool. I'm going to just pick a couple items to read for you randomly here. But I see a lot of fun stuff, and I think this is really cool when there's a table. I gravitate towards that. So Circlet of the Archfey. It's a wondrous item, rare, requires attunement. These circlets are uniquely designed by Archfey to be gifted to their most loyal or gifted followers. Countless varieties of this circlet exist, each one corresponding with a notable Archfey, granting boons according to their mannerisms. So now that makes sense why there would be a table, because you got to have all these Archfeys and then the different variations for that. So we've got Baba Yaga, Mother of All Witches. While wearing the circlet, you can use an action to cast the Dream spell, DC 18. And then number 3, Oberon the Green Lord. While wearing this circlet, you can use an action to cast the Wrath of Nature spell, DC 18. So some fun stuff going on with the circlets. Let's scroll down here and see what else we've got. So ticket mark, wondrous item, common, an unassuming ring. While worn, the number of tickets the user currently has appear on the palm of the hand with a faint green light. So that's great for Wild Beyond the Witchlight with the carnival tickets. And then you've got voice box. Wondrous item rarity varies. These boxes, while not necessarily a box, sometimes they are a jar, a bottle, or even a clamshell, contain a voice of a different talented singer and bard. As an action, you can open it and it will sing up to 6 humanoids, giants, or fae within 30 feet can use a reaction to gain a use of bardic inspiration. They are, for all intents and purposes, indestructible to all but the most powerful magic. Different rarities of these exist. Uncommon ones can be used once per day and grant the inspiration of a first level bard. Rare ones can be used 3 times per day and grant the inspiration of a 5th level bard, and etc. It goes all the way through. And it says, curse. While not cursed in the strictest sense of the word, each voice box contains the voice of someone, and if that person still yet lives, they will most certainly want their voice back. If they have the means to locate it, they will do so. It doesn't require attunement to use normally, but the person to whom the voice belongs can attune to it. Then, if someone casts remove curse on that person, not the voice box, then the voice box will be destroyed and the voice will return to its owner. So that's a fun story possibility. Maybe you have a bard who's lost their voice. You give this item to a character, and then that bard shows up. It's not talking, but is battling with the character trying to get this box back. So yeah, I like that. Lots of story potential there. So yeah, good stuff in here. I think it's a good option if you're playing Wild Beyond the Witchlight, or you got my book Feywild Companion and playing the adventures in there, or you're creating your own Feywild stuff. This would fit nicely with it. Even outside of the Fey, I could see some of these. That voice box is a really fun concept. It doesn't have to necessarily involve the Feywild. So lots of options for $4.95 here under Book of Fey, and the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Fleshshire of the Screaming Skull with this really fun, reminds me of like an album cover or a heavy metal magazine or something. Pretty cool. And it's from the Bugbear Brothers, $3.95 for 8 pages, and it's a sequel to The Sanctum of Pain. It's for character levels 2 to 3. The dungeon consists of 3 rooms. The central goal of this adventure is for the heroes to escape. It's a great opener for any campaign, contains a variety of monsters, traps, and puzzles, and it's got print and play maps and minis for ease of use. So let me refresh and see if the preview is available. I know the quick preview is, but it looks like there's a problem with the full preview right now. But we'll look at the quick preview, because I think at least it's going to give you, even if we're not able to read everything, it's going to give you a look at how visually stunning it is. I mean, not only is that cover really fun, but look at inside. This is really nice. I love this little map. I think, and they previously had a preview. It was showing the some of the tokens and things, or not necessarily tokens, like cards that you get with it, which are really fun and nice. And I just love the attention to detail that's been put in here by the artist. It looks like it's Jack Badashki that did the art. I will say, if you're watching Bugbear Brothers, that I think this cover with the colored version, where it's kind of got this parchment look to it, might sell better if you put that on the front. I like the black and white one as well. I mean, you could even have that as a coloring book version for people, but just scrolling through the site and looking at things, I think the color, and especially as well done as the color is on this, I think it's going to draw people in more. So I would encourage you to swap that out, because not everybody's going to click on here and see this quick preview. But I love it. I really think they've put so much time into this artwork, and I was looking, like I said, I was looking at the cards. And the cards are really cool too, and it's only $3.95 to get this whole module. Another thing you might mention on here, Bugbear Brothers, is whether you need to play the first one or not. I'm assuming you don't, because it's character levels 2 to 3, so you could just start at level 2. But again, your customers might be confused. But I'm going to tell people that more than likely you don't need to have played the first one, although it's cool that it's a sequel. So very fun. I hope you check it out under Fleshshire in the links below. Give it a click. Next is Home is Where You Doff Your Sack. Crinkle Fire Touch's Guide to Magic Bags by Will Mayer. And it is 99 cents on Pay What You Want, 6 pages. So we talked earlier about the pouches and how we have a book on DriveThruRPG that's like detailing the pouches and making them not so mundane. And so now we have something with magic bags. So again, there's that synchronicity. In a lot of the episodes, you'll see that there's releases that just kind of like a collective subconscious people releasing similar stuff that not identical, but that plays well together, or that covers a similar topic. And I love that. So it says, pack your bags. It's time for adventure. Crinkle Fire Touch is back, this time with a new guide to magic bags, originally created for the D8 Night podcast homebrew campaign. Bags get a bum rap in role-playing games. Other than the famous bag of holding, there are a few notable pieces of luggage to don on your journeys. All things considered, though, bags are one of an adventurer's most important tools. Without something to carry their gear, it's a guarantee that when an encounter befalls a group of adventurers, they will find they have their hands full, no matter how insignificant the encounter would otherwise be. This guide focuses on 10 bags to liven up your campaign. A few are helpful because of what they contain, but most are beneficial because of how they function. Some bags will help you bring a little bit of home wherever you go, or help you bring a little bit of wherever you've been back home safely. In classic Crinkle fashion, you will find your fill of magic bags that range from serious to silly, alongside Crinkle's own creation, the unpredictable backpacks of teleportation. So very fun. It looks like the past Crinkle stuff has involved things like maps, etc. So let's take a look inside. So you get to see 2 of those 6 pages, and in that you're getting to see several bags, including the bag of colding, brilliant backpack, Crimpy Elder Weasel's bag of mending, Crimpy Elder Weasel's bag of stasis, and Crinkle Fire Touch's backpacks of teleportation. So lots of fun bags to look at. So we'll look at a couple here. So bag of colding, wondrous item uncommon, a pale blue fabric adorned with snowflakes. This bag has the ability to keep items inside it at a cold temperature ranging from cool to freezing. You can use a bonus action to alternate the mode between cooling and freezing. The bag has a capacity of 5 cubic feet and holds a maximum weight of 18 pounds. And yeah, I think that's a fun idea and a good play on the name there. And then you've got backpacks of teleportation. These solid colored backpacks are nondescript, save for the maker's mark of Crinkle Fire Touch emblazoned on the exterior. Backpacks of teleportation come in pairs. Each pair has a unique color to distinguish them from other pairs. The backpack is the size of a normal backpack. Placing an item inside the bag and leaving it there for 10 minutes teleports it. When the 10 minutes have passed, roll a d20. On a 1, the bag malfunctions. Otherwise, it works as intended, teleporting the item to the paired backpack. On the sack, once the sack has teleported 30 pounds of material, the magic ceases to function until the next dawn. Placing more than 30 pounds of material and more material than allowed, the backpack will close and cause it not to function until it is removed. And then there's a whole malfunction table. such as, one of the packs is instantly destroyed, etc. So that's fun that you can kind of put stuff in a bag and it goes somewhere else. I think that could be super useful and very flavorful. I like that Will is expanding what's available for bags because as described here, it's kind of neglected. So very fun. Love it. I think you should check it out. And under home is where you doff your sack, and the link's below, and give it a click. Next, we've got Home Field Advantage, a compendium of lair actions, already a best silver seller in its first week of release. And it's from Trakiros, Sean Vestera, Terran Pounds, Boyan Valev, Christy Kids, Django Games, Xavier Bates, Devlin DM, and Joe Gaylord. So good group there. 1995 for 242 pages. That's significantly large, which is nice. And it says an extensive compendium of lair actions featuring 250 new and unique lairs covering over 320 of your favorite creatures from the Monster Manual, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and Volo's Guide to Monsters. It says there's nothing like entering the lair of a boss monster who's been built up as an antagonist for several sessions. Lair actions are the tool that D&D provides you to make sure that this battle lives up to the hype and anticipation. D&D truly shines when a boss battle is not just a slugfest, but involves the environment and unique obstacles for the player characters to overcome in creative ways. Our goal with the Home Field Advantage is to produce the kind of fun experience your players will be talking about for years to come. It says run lair actions at every tier of play. Until now, lair actions were treated as something only legendary creatures, usually in the 3rd and 4th tier of play, should have. But in practice, adventurers tend to fight bosses and their lair at every tier of play, and most campaigns end before reaching this legendary stage. With over 170 lairs for the first 2 tiers of play, Home Field Advantage puts the spotlight on the parts of the game people love and experience the most, making them shine even brighter than before. Breathe new life into old foes. There are creatures without whom D&D wouldn't be what it is. Mages, hags, genies, mind flayers, etc. You probably used at least a couple of them in every single one of your campaigns, and you know that what their stat blocks look like the back of your hand. But with Home Field Advantage, you'll find an excuse to bring back some of these fond memories and make them fresh and deadly all over again. So very fun, and the artwork is so nice, and you can see how they've gone into each of these creatures. And there's even a video already from Rogue Watson. And I love the idea of this. I definitely want to get a copy of it. It's just much needed. I think people underestimate the fact that they're not playing at these high tiers a lot, right? And so it can be fun, even just if once in a while you put in a layer for people to engage in and experience that. Maybe even just if they're new, especially letting them understand that it's not always the monster stat block that matters. There's other things that you can experience. So quite a robust table of contents here, going through all the different monsters that are covered. And I really appreciate that it covers multiple books. So there's 3: Monster Manual, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and Volo's Guide to Monsters. So if you own any of those, this is going to enhance the value of those books. So it talks about how to use it, and then and again, you're going to see 50 of the pages, so you can really get an idea of how this works. There's even a section on player character layers, creating layer actions. I love that. That's super helpful for creators. I love writing layer actions. I think they're one of the most fun things to come up with. Abominable Yeti. So this is the first creature that you can see that they're going to go into, but then they go into the Alep and Angels, Archers. So they're even doing the NPCs right, which I think is just wonderful, because those could have easily been skipped or overlooked, but why not? Because any archer of any background could be, you could use that. A bard of any background, you could use the layer actions here. And here's a Behir. So I love that. Let's look at the Behir in detail. It says a Behir's lair is often twisting tunnels charged with static electricity that crackles along the rock walls, becoming more frequent the closer to the Behir. On initiative count 20, losing initiative ties, the Behir takes a lair action to cause one of the following effects. It can't use the same effect 2 rounds in a row. So it has 3 possibilities. The Behir channels the static held within its lair and creates a blast of electric energy. Each creature within 20 feet of the Behir must make a DC 14 con saving throw or be incapacitated until the end of its next turn. The Behir's next lightning breath recharges on 3, 4, 5, or 6. Natural conduits in the lair begin to flash with charged electricity. Each creature that can see the flashing must succeed on a DC 15 Dex saving throw or be blinded for 1 minute. A creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of its turns to basically end that effect. Part of the ceiling collapses above one creature that the Behir can see within 60 feet of it. The creature must succeed on a DC 15 Dex saving throw or take bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone. So flexible options. And I mean, even if you, let's say you don't want to do the whole on initiative count 20, etc., you can even just say, okay, I'm going to have this happen when they first go into where the Behir is. This part of the ceiling collapses, right? There's so many uses of this, and I love that it gives you the CR. So this is the CR 11, and then it tells you Monster Manual page 25. You know where this creature's at, and I mean there's so many creatures in here. It really is comprehensive. I think it's really a must-have if you're a dungeon master, as just keeping it on hand for when you need to spice things up. A lot of players are also dungeon masters, so they know these monsters in and out, but if they haven't purchased this book, they won't know all the possible lair actions. So I think you got to pick this up. It's under Home Field Advantage in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we've got Inns of the Realms from Carl Terrence Vandal, and it's 30 pages for $4. It says 2 inns for weary travelers to rest at. The Harvest Inn in Westbridge is known throughout the Sword Coast for the artistic eccentricity of its proprietor, and the Inn of the Forest is a peculiar place found by those in need when they are traversing the forests of Faerun. This map pack provides detailed maps of both locations and includes a number of variations on these maps: grid, no grid, day and night. A total of 24 high-quality maps. Add to the atmosphere of your game with these high-quality maps and explore these locations in full. So, and yeah, I've got a fun cover here. And then looking inside, you get to see the whole book. So you've got the Harvest Inn, all of the maps associated with that, and then the Inn in the Forest with all the maps associated. And, you know, there's an intro, and then here you go. Here's the Harvest Inn Westbridge. So you've got, this is, I guess, the lower floor where you can eat, kind of like a tavern situation. And then this is a variation of that same map. And then you've got another variation, so multiple variations. I appreciate the sheer number of variations. And now we're on the second floor where you can spend the night. So you've got variations of the second floor. And then here's the Inn in the Forest with this lower floor with tables and variations on that. And then you go upstairs and you see the rooms. Yeah, I think this is really cool. I mean, even if you don't want to use the particular locations in the Forgotten Realms that are referenced here, you could put these inns anywhere. I mean, you always have a need for inns, even places to eat. Even if you don't use the upstairs rooms, you've got all these tables and kind of a bar set up in the lower floor of all these inns. So I think there's a lot of usability here. It says, okay, so I don't know if they also come as attachments or if they're just in the PDF. So if you're watching, Carl, you might want to mention that in here so that people know are they getting them individually or just in the PDF. I mean, still in the PDF, I think that has a lot of value because this is really cool looking. But some people might want to know if it's going to be separate files or if they're going to be using the PDF pages. I'm assuming other files, but it's hard to say. So, but I love it. I think it's really going to be useful. I mean, you don't want to just keep going to the same inn, the same tavern over and over and over. And in this case, you've also been given a suggestion of where these could be placed in the Forgotten Realms, so it's doubly beneficial. So check it out under Inns of the Realms in the links below and give it a click. And then you've got A Large Threat as our next title by Rob Gordon. It's $2 for 24 pages. It's a one-shot adventure for with two villainous plots coinciding on the same day, the band of adventurers arrive in town to complete their delivery quest. Months of planning culminates into a large threat for the town, and the PCs are caught right in the middle of it. Fast thinking against a ticking clock to stop something that has been waiting to happen since the dawn of the town itself. It's an adventure for groups of 3 to 5 players of levels 6 or 7 to play through. Socialize in town, fight the intruding foes, and save the town from a large threat. I love how the name is kind of like vague, because that, that is a phrase you hear. Oh, there's a looming threat, or there's a large threat. Well, what is it? I don't know. It's something. It's coming at you. It's like almost a prophecy could say you're going to deal with a large threat, right? So I like that they went that route with it. 6 pages of the 24 are visible here in the preview. You've got Chapter 1, which is like an encounter, and then Chapter 2, something called Olmsted, so that it looks like a location, and then Chapter 3, etc., including villains and stat blocks, all that good stuff. So here's arriving at Olmsted. It's got all the little areas marked on this map, and then here's some more info on it. And the Costly Tulip, I love that name, or the Cozy Tulip. That's cool. Let's read about the Cozy Tulip, actually. So you've got Jorana Bentham. It's an inn. It has 12 rooms. The town's inn, by Miss Jorana Bentham, offering a stay to travelers and merchants. Jorana's mother, Vera Tinley, assists her daughter and earns a few coins herself by telling patrons fortunes using the fireplace during some evenings. The decor of inn has dark oak wood brightened up by tulips and similar colored fabrics upon the bed to represent the tulip town. She lent Lethius the money, which he used to buy the Staff of Resurrection. Jorana believed the money was to buy exquisite and foreign stock, but hasn't been paid back yet. So there's some little background secret stuff about each of these, or a lot of these locations. And what I like is that she tells fortunes, so she could say, you're going to deal with a large threat, and kind of get people worked up. Well, what do you mean a large threat? I don't know. It just came to me in a vision. It's a large threat. It's looming. You'll have to deal with it. But I do like the artwork on the little map here. So yeah, some fun things in here from Rob Gordon under a large threat. So look for a large threat in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have Much Ink Has Been Spilled, a 2 to 4 hour adventure for 1st to 4th level characters on the islands of Hamato, and it's by Douglas MacLean, and it's $2.95 for 28 pages. In the far-flung islands of Hamato in the Forgotten Realms, a wizard has gone missing from his own home, and the Bureau of Arcana needs your help to locate him in this, the 5th adventure published in the Hamato Islands series. Can you solve the mystery of his disappearance? It includes a 2 to 4 hour one-shot adventure optimized for 3 to 7 party members at levels 1 to 4, with options to adjust difficulty based on APL and party size. Monster stat blocks for each encounter, including new ooze monsters, the Ink and Baby Ink. Puzzle-based adventure features, Chinese calligraphy, and includes an optional handwriting guide. Features unique items native to the Hamato Islands, such as the Compass of the Wind and Water, and custom wizard spells such as Panic Room. Includes a brief DM guide to the Hamato Islands lore, fauna, and culture. So it says, one wizard's brilliant idea has unleashed a horror upon the capital. Can you locate the wizard, slay the horror, and maybe keep his house from burning? So the Hamato Islands are a reimagining of the Forgotten Realm islands of Wa and Kozakura, which resided on the fringes of the continent of Kuratur. So it's nice to have, again, some of these far reaches of the Forgotten Realms explored, since Wizards is mostly doing stuff in the Sword Coast area. It's giving these DMs Guild creators a lot of leeway to really explore some of the other areas for 5th edition. So let's take a look inside. You can see 5 of the 28 pages. So you get overview of Hamato Islands, and then adjusting the adventure, understanding the puzzle, adventure hooks, all kinds of stuff on that, rewards. And so here's intro, the government, magic, money, etc. And then background on the capital city, etc. So let's see, what should we read here? Let's read about the people. The three most common humanoid people found on the Yamato Islands in descending order are humans, wood elves, and dragonborn. Dwarves, gnomes, and halflings, along with the more exotic character races, exist in very small numbers as expats. They are not native to the Yamato Islands. Tieflings and half-oni also exist on the Yamato Islands, but in very small numbers, either in the larger cities or in the very rural areas. Racial stats for half-oni can be found in a Traveler's Guide to the Yamato Islands available on DM's Guild. So let's see. And the magic functions very similar to Faerun, though there are some differences. For example, Misty Step results in a cloud of cherry blossoms or autumn leaves. Magic runes are replaced with Shao script. Chinese characters where appropriate. And the audible sound of alarm spell will be the clack sound of two wooden blocks struck together. That's nice. I like the flavor of that, tying into these spells, but having just kind of some of the manifestations, visual and auditory manifestations of them be a little different. So fun stuff. And again, I like seeing people explore these regions that are unexplored. So check it out. Under Much Ink Has Been Spilled in the links below. Give it a click. Next, we have the Path of the Tormented Soul, a primal path for the Barbarian class by Roland Schott. It says, mark your foes with the torments of your dark past. And it's 99 cents for 6 pages. So shame can be a devastating weapon. Not all are heroes, and many who are now heroes were once cowards. For some, that cowardice has exacted a heavy toll, a toll their loved ones ultimately paid. Barbarians who follow the path of the tormented soul are haunted by the tortured spirits of the loved ones they have forsaken. Those spirits follow them now into the heat of battle, making them a beacon for mayhem. Harness your disgrace and curse your foes with the mark of torment, punishing those who dare not direct their ire toward you. Build up a tolerance for the magical forces of death and command the echoes of shame as you stand trial before the specters of your moral failures, including subclass variant features, spells, magic items, and monster stat blocks. The Path of the Tormented Soul is the perfect way to add a splash of macabre to your Dungeons & Dragons campaign. Very good description. Let's see. 2 pages of the 6 that you get to see. So you get the features, and then there's some bonus features, including a variant feature, spells, magic items, and creature stat blocks. So you get to see most of the subclass in the preview. It's nice. It has a whole section on your tortured past. There's a table you can roll. So first on the D6 is your family was attacked by bandits. You had an opportunity to save them, but could not summon the courage to do so. Instead, you fled, abandoning them to their demise. And then number 3, your loved ones were deeply indoctrinated into a cult. You watched them helplessly as they committed a gruesome act of ritual self-sacrifice, unable to dissuade them. So those are just 2 of the tortured past. They sound appropriate and work with this. Let's see what some of the abilities are. So the Mark of Torment. You are haunted by torments, the spirits of loved ones you have forsaken in your past. When you enter your rage, you summon a number of torments equal to your proficiency bonus. Their ghastly spectral visages hover over you until they are used or your rage ends. When you enter a rage or as a bonus action while raging, you can spend one of your torments to bestow a Mark of Torment upon one creature that you can see within 30 feet of you. The torment's spectral form plunges into the target, causing it to lose all color. A creature can bear only one Mark of Torment at a time. While bearing a Mark of Torment, the creature has disadvantage on all attack rolls, saving throws against creatures other than you until it deals damage to you or your rage ends, at which point the mark is dispelled and the torment is gone until you enter another rage. The creature bearing the Mark of Torment is aware of what must be done to dispel it. If a creature bearing a Mark of Torment misses on an attack roll or fails a saving throw, it immediately takes cold or necrotic damage, your choice, equal to twice your barbarian level. The number of torments you summon when you enter a rage becomes limitless at level 20. So I like that concept. I mean, those visages rolling around your head, and that it takes away all color in the target. I mean, these are really visual things that I think help tell the story, and that's just the beginning. I'm not going to read all the different abilities. I want you to come check it out, because you can check out most of the abilities for the Tormented Soul here. But I like the writing, I like the concepts, the visuals of it is really nice, and I think there's a lot of potential. And always remember, if you're watching this, subclasses are not just for players. You can use the effects of these things on an NPC, on a villain, right? Imagine your party showing up and they're like, okay, this guy's starting to get angry, and whoa, there's all these little spirits around his head or something. What is that? Right? You can really mix things up and give them something. A lot of players do look in the DM's guide and books they shouldn't look at, right? So there's so many books available that we cover every week that they can't possibly read them all. So you can buy something like this and use it not just for your players, but you can introduce it perhaps through an NPC, and then maybe later a player picks it as an option in your next session or something. And for 99 cents to be able to bring some of this awesome flavor to one of your NPCs is worth it, or a player. So check it out under Path of the Tormented Soul in the links below and give it a click. Pray the Night Tale of the Shadow Hunter is next, and it's part of Lachlan's Tales of Love and Horror, and it's from Wild Witch RP, or Wild Witch Roleplay, $9.99 for 70 pages. It says an ancient predatory spirit pursues expeditionaries in the wilds and sets its insatiable hunger upon townsfolk in the area. As the killing spreads, people blame nearby rural villagers and their cult-like worship of the hunt god Malar. Encouraged by an opportunistic bishop twisting the situation to his own advantage, he would rise a zealous savior, marching troops against the heretics. Can't say that word today. With the help of brave adventurers, however, many innocent lives can be spared, depending, of course, on their own ambitions and the choices they make as they navigate a swamp filled with tense emotion and brutal primal nature. Will you enter the shadows to discover the source of the killings and put a stop to them before the impending humanitarian catastrophe, or will you as well be hunted by the darkness and devoured by the predatory night? It says it's a 10 to 20 hour adventure for 3rd to 4th level characters with heavy emphasis on story, roleplay, and character choices. 2 fully realized romanceable NPC party members, complex moral choices and dilemmas, combat with real consequences, a challenging boss battle with a custom shape-shifting nature spirit, 3 custom magic items derived from the story, and multiple outcomes and epilogues for different characters determined by player choices. So lots of fun stuff awaits you, it sounds like, in here. Let's look inside. So you get to see 31 of the 71 pages, which is quite a lot. So you start with this in lore text intro, which is fun. And then you go into the intro, tips for playing NPC companions, advancement, romance and friendship, Faerun or setting neutral, various locations, history, lots of stuff, companions, on the road, arrival. I mean, this is, and look at that map. That's a great map. Yeah, so they're really just giving you so much detail. I like that. Sidebars on relationships there. Meaning relationships within the characters that are in the story here, not necessarily relationships, although I'm sure there could be that going on as well. So let me find a good spot to read here. I want to find a nice little flavor text in the beginning here, so I'm not spoiling too much. All right, let's try this section here. Hopefully it'll make sense out of context. So the moment the fighting is over, Mikhail immediately approaches the characters and introduces herself. She says, "I don't need to ask who you are, do I? Your reputations precede you, and you've exceeded them already. I am Sister Mikhail Sormantes of the Church of Torm's Office of Inquisitions, and this is my associate, Nias." And then the Tormish guardsman, as he joins his companion in introduction, says, Aranios Akamakari, man-at-arms and evasive heartthrob." He winks at Mikhail, and she groans in response. "Of the same Church of Torm, at your service." He smiles at the characters, and especially at anyone whom he observed performing a stunt. "But you can call me Nios." "We are here," Mikhail explains, "on strictly professional terms to investigate the recent killings here at Brackenfield." So, some fun characters, right? I like those voices. They're distinct. And it seems like those are just a few characters, and they're winking at people, so there could be love in the air. And you know what's coming in February? Valentine's Day. So, just saying, you could have a Valentine's Day adventure and lean into some of the romance. Although romance is optional, right? Not everybody's comfortable with that. So just keep that in mind. All right, so check it out. I think there's a lot of detail. I really like this Wild Witch. Their writings seems pretty good. We looked at one of their titles last week, and they're just entering the space. So encourage them to continue by checking out their books. And this one is called Pray the Night. In those links below, give it a click. Next, we have Races of the Multiverse. We talked about, the Mordenkainen's Multiverse book that just came out. And so we got another tie-in here. This is 15 new and returning player races from Craig Mackey. It's only $1.95 for 13 pages. And it says, with the release of Monsters of the Multiverse, 33 races from previous supplements were revised for the present day and for the upcoming new edition of the rules. In Races of the Multiverse, we visit a number of races that have yet to receive official treatment in 5th edition as a playable race. This includes races that have appeared in the latest edition of the rules, such as the Bullywug, Gnoll, and Thri-kreen. Other races that have yet to be seen in 5th edition, such as the Dromite, Mool, and Shardmite, also appear as fully fledged character races within these pages. Additionally, new weapons, feats, and spells have been added to provide an extra layer of depth and immersion for these new races. So that sounds fun. So yeah, you've got your intro. This is also from Sparkle Gym Studios. And here's all the races, everything from a Laghi to a Thri-kreen. And then you've got feats and spells. So a whole section on creating your character, the traits, Deep Imaskari. So yeah, let's read about the Bullywug because I think they're fun. Bullywugs have green, gray, or mottled yellow skin that fluctuates between colors of gray, green, and brown, letting them blend in. They traditionally wear light armor and carry simple weapons, as these better suit the rainy forests and marshes they prefer to dwell in. Bullywugs regard themselves as the legitimate lords of the marshes. They announce themselves with lofty titles, make huge displays of bowing and belittling themselves in front of their superiors, whilst competing incessantly for their superiors' favor. I like this. Very good descriptive words to kind of get you a sense of their personalities. And then down here you've got all the typical stuff that you see, but you're seeing that the author is respecting the changes that are coming from Mordenkainen's book, where they're not, races are sort of a controversial topic in D&D, and Wizards is slowly changing some of the aspects of it, like they're removing certain things. So it's nice to see that some of that is being reflected here. So they have amphibious. You can breathe air and water. Swamp camouflage. You have advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide in swampy terrain. Speak with frogs and toads. You have the ability to communicate with frogs, toads, and other amphibians. They can understand the meaning of your words. Though you have no special ability to understand them in return, you have advantage on all charisma checks you make to influence them. Standing leap. Your long jump is up to 20 feet, and your high jump is up to 10 feet with or without a running start. And then Unsettling Croak. As a bonus action, you let out a dissonant warbling croak at your enemies within 20 feet of you. Until the start of your next turn, you and your allies have advantage on attack rolls against any of those enemies who could hear you. Creatures that cannot be frightened are immune to this effect. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So, very cool. I love the little picture here, and I just think they're fun. I want to play a Bullywug. And it's cool that this book is giving you some additional race options. And maybe one of these is one of your favorites from an older edition that just hasn't gotten here yet. But I think, $1.95 to get all of these races and some spells and feats is a steal. So check it out under Races of the Multiverse in the links below and give it a click. Next, we have Tome of Silence, Attack of the Astral Sound Devourers. And it's got this fun movie poster style cover, and it's from Matthew Whitby, $3.95 for 25 pages. It says, a tome full of mystery, a monastery of utter silence, and monsters from beyond the astral sea. All this and more awaits you in this thrilling adventure. It's a one-shot adventure to challenge the casters out there, where any spoken word has potentially dire consequences. As long as each party member can keep their mouth shut, the Tome of Silence promises something unexpected and different for all who dare to enter the hushed monastery. So it's a 7th to 10th level Candlekeep inspired one shot, 25 plus pages of adventure with 4 unique items, plus a stat block for the monstrous astral sound devourers. And yeah, I think this could be a really good time. Let's look inside. You get all 25 pages on display here in the preview, which is very kind of the author. And you've got all this in your table of contents. So you got your overview, your background, and then each part of the adventure. And then Aftermath with some further adventure ideas and some player handouts. So we'll look at some of this stuff like the Tome of Silence, etc. in just a minute, but they've got random star mounts encounters, a whole map here for the Hushed Monastery, and the Astral Sound Devourer stat block. Yeah, just lots of options. The Tome of Silence, conclusion, aftermath, further adventures, just filled with stuff. It's awesome. So let's take a look at the Tome of Silence here. Let's read a little bit about that. The Tome of Silence is a book with a potent enchantment that conceals the text of every page, a supernatural protection provided by a long-forgotten deity of silence. While this deity's name has been lost to time, the adventure's text often refers to it as the deity of silence for clarity. This deity's most devout followers maintain lives of quietude that unfortunately made it difficult to gain new followers. Yeah, if you're not talking about it, how are you going to spread the word? But let's see. Dwindling numbers led to the deity's powers waning, and its last follower attempted to contain all of its teachings into a single tome, the Tome of Silence. Imbued with the last breath of the deity of silence before it lost its tether to the world, the written words were obfuscated and could only be read in the pure silence of an anechoic chamber. As its force fades, the deity of silence now drifts to the astral plane where the remnants of dying or deceased deities reside. The last follower treated the tome as their most treasured possession. Nearing death from old age, they hand-delivered the book to Candlekeep, a location where it would be kept safe, and with any luck, bring their god back to the world. Until recently, no one had unlocked the secret to opening the Tome of Silence, that the book must be placed in a non-magical and echoic chamber to be read, the closest of which is inside the Order of the Hushed Monastery in the Star Mounts. So, I love that lore. Really fun, and makes perfect sense. Just a really, really beautiful story, and ties so well into what the deity has a domain over, which is silence. And then it's gonna bring in this hushed monastery, all of these things. I think it's really unique and flavorful. Love the lore, and you could do a lot with that. So much you could do with that. We were talking about that voice box item a few books ago. I mean, that could work well with this because it's silencing a character. You could have a whole silence themed campaign, and I love that this connects to Candlekeep. It connects to books, which of course I love, or I wouldn't be doing a show like this. And it just feels fun to read this. So I think you should get it. It's reasonably priced at only $3.95, and you get 25 pages. So why don't you look for it in the links below under Tome of Silence, Attack of the Astral Sound Devourers, and give it a click. All right, next I'm previewing the title that is going to have an exclusive discount just for our viewers on Monday. So I told you at the beginning of this episode that we are ramping up our social media efforts this year. We're going to be giving tons of free content away, in addition to doing the things that you're used to us doing, like making books and, doing this series. So you want to make sure you're following us at Twitter under Splinterverse, and Facebook, Instagram, all those places, because we'll be posting our enhanced free content every day of the week except for Saturday and Sunday. On those days, we'll be resting and preparing for the next week, of course, and maybe doing some special things every once in a while on those days as well. But this book, OSR Solo, is going to be up for an exclusive discount on Monday on our channels, all of our social media platforms. So I wanted to just kind of give you an introduction to it so you can find out about the book that you're going to get the offer for. So make sure on Monday that you check out our Twitter feed or Instagram, one of those, Facebook, and get access to the link to get the discount on this title, because I think it's really cool. It's from Parts Per Million. It's called OSR Solo, and the discount's going to be on the PDF version, although there are versions that you can get as well. And so it's OSR Solo rules. So you can play anything like an original, D&D adventure, BX, without a dungeon master or other OSR games. And it'll get you started using the rules with a sandbox style adventure, and you will not need to do any preparation, although you might want to have a couple stock NPCs on hand, which you could Google and get those. It says the normal cycle of play is that the DM describes the scene and asks what do you do? The player describes their actions, the DM describes the effects of those actions, and the cycle repeats. In solo play, there's just a single character, no DM. You start by imagining your character in the game setting and play through all the social interactions, all the NPCs and events that would normally come up. At some point, you reach a point where you would normally ask your DM for more information. Are there any guards? Are there any ways out? What can you hear? At this point, the solo rules come to play. You pitch your question in a yes-no format. The solo rules will then return an answer to your question, much like a magic 8-ball toy. It is then down to you and your improv skills to decide, what does this answer mean right now? Often the first thing that comes to your head is the answer to go with. If you just got yes and no answer, things would get boring quite quickly. These rules are designed to throw up twists and turn into your character story. And it's a perfect way to learn the game, test your first adventures before going on and making characters. And it has a really good looking intro, and I love that it's not just yes no, that there's plot twists as well, and there's a whole video they have on solo role-playing. And if we look at the full size, you can see 10 of the 8 pages, which I guess means the cover is included. But yeah, it's really cool. You've got all kinds of likelihood of things to happen, how to play out the twists, the scenes, the complex questions like who said that, first die, second die, etc., friend or foe, and then tips and tricks. And then here's the random D6 table, and then how to solo an adventure module, organizing your adventure. I like how concise these rules are, but give you just enough to be able to really enjoy and have a good time. But they're not so complicated that you're constantly looking at this book. It should just be kind of sitting there, that you need it a few times. Maybe you just need it to roll, and then you just go about your business with any printed module that you've always wanted to play. And since this is OSR, there's always those modules from older editions that you can't get a DM to convert for you that you wanted to play through, if you're a 5th edition player, etc. So this is going to be really fun for you to get. So I want to make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Splinterverse, and all those places, so that you can get this exclusive discount. We're going to be doing that every Monday this year. We're going to have a discount available to you. If you want to participate, if you're a creator and you want to get your title in there, we do have a few slots left for this year. If you've got an existing title on DriveThru or DM's Guild and you want to participate, just message me on Twitter or any of these platforms, and I'll connect you with the form that you can submit your discount, and we can get you in there as well. But we're going to have one every Monday because it's going to be Money Saving Monday, and it's exclusively for you, our Splinter friends. So check that out. Well, thank you for watching this week's episode. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video out there so everybody can find out about these books each week. Click all those links down below. Check out all these titles. Follow them on their socials. Purchase the books. Look at what else they've got. Their bundles, all that good stuff. We want to support these creators. And if you purchase anything after clicking those links, a small percentage comes back to help the channel, and I really do appreciate it. And if you want to be especially kind, we have 5 titles we released in 2021 under Splinterverse Media down there in the description as well that you can purchase. There's the Feywild Companion, which is tons of Feywild content with VTT, tokens, maps, adventures, spells, subclasses, all kinds of player and DM Feywild stuff. You got Fizban's Vault of Draconic Secrets, dragon-themed everything, including a subclass for every single class, a list of trinkets. You've got adventure hooks, horde magic items, a familiar, just fun dragon things for you. You've got Secrets of the Draugr, a brand new race with deities, fortune telling, adventure hooks, NPCs, all kinds of stuff to support launching that race into your campaign. It is perfect for any campaign because the race, it's called Secrets of the Draugr because they are secretive and they've been in hiding, and so you can spring them right into an existing campaign so easily. Then we've got Potions Unlocked, which is available in print on demand and digital. So many potions with all unique short stories for them, along with so much detail. How do they taste? How do they smell? What happens if I have too much of it? How do I make this potion? What kind of plants are needed that I need to find to put into this potion? I mean, just potion everything. So you got to check that out. And then, of course, we have Van Richten's Libram of Lineages, which goes into 4 unique lineages and optional rules for managing them, including lineage like the Key Keeper, where you receive this mysterious key and then it's bound to your soul, and if you lose it, you die. So very interesting conflict themed starting point for characters. So lots of fun awaits you there too. So check all those things out, and thank you to all the wonderful creators this week that have put out great titles as always to look at and share with you. I love it. I look forward to it every week, and I'm excited for you to check out OSR Solo on discount on Monday and all the future discounts we have coming up. So stay tuned, follow us, and we'll be there with you. And until next time, happy adventuring.